against the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax, when at a press conference or with Miss Milky Strokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes, confronted with the truth to say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax, when at a press conference or with Miss Milky Strokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronted with the truth, you'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax, when at a press conference or with Miss Milky Strokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he crooks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms, and war. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hired his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say I made. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they shout out today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic.
We go now.
Live to Liberal Dan.
Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue Liberty, the writing you can see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish face laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
Now very quiet. Let's see. I did unplug and replug. Let's see. Let's do that. Desktop microphone. We should be back now, maybe? How's the static now? Is the static going all right, or... So we can hear it now? We good? We good on YouTube and on TikTok? We good on every place? Let's see. I do sound better on TikTok now, so there we go. Let's see. All gone. Let's see. Is it... Let's see. See. Let's see. White noise, Wi-Fi problem. Good now. And it's much better. Let's just go ahead and just see on here just to make sure I can verify that I can hear myself well. And then we will just take a listen. That's not even me. It's the ACLU is talking about the Calais ruling, and let's see, live. See, it's not coming up there. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Let's switch accounts on here just to make sure I'm working right again. There we go. That's better. And we're just going to check this one more time just to see. Hey, Lisa Michelle over on TikTok. Thank you for joining. Atrocious at every game. I had to jump tabs. I ate and can't watch the Tucker chip clip that Hal just pulled up. That's fine. Let's just see. All right. So it looks like we are good to go on all the devices. So I don't know why that happened. Were you transmitting to the home world? Maybe. You never know. The aliens were trying to interfere with it. Maybe it was Donald Trump. He was like, I don't like this guy, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. He's a very bad guy. He's a bad hombre. I don't like him one bit. He's horrible. Don't follow him. Don't subscribe him. Don't let him hit any of his goals. He's very bad. He's a very bad person. He's an enemy of the people. We don't like the enemy of the people. So, anyway. So there's that. You know.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Anyway, so thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Jolie, also for jumping in and joining in the chat. Appreciate you. Can you imagine if President Biden had tried to go live and had staticky microphone volume?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
And thank you, Squirrel Girl, for the 10 Liberal Dan Radio sponsorships or memberships or whatever. You have helped 10 people become Danimals. We appreciate you for that so much. Thank you. So yeah, imagine if Biden had called somebody a bad hombre. Hombre, yeah. What would have happened if he would have called him a bad hombre, huh?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Kept secret files countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Anyway, just another reminder for everybody that we will be, and thank you, Alyosha, for the bits. We will be we are normally, again, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays here on liberaldanradio.com, on twitch.liberaldanradio.com, and now on YouTube. I mean, now on TikTok. I'm not even used to going live on TikTok. And maybe after the third show, we'll actually be able to go live and not have to worry about that. Like, TikTok's just going to get a weird setting of me because I don't want to show all my back because it's a giant mess back there. So that's why I'm only showing like some of the screen over there. I don't have the virtual green screen like I do with this because apparently my XSplit can't go to multiple sources because the camera can only be used at once, right? And again, for some reason, TikTok won't let me hook up my OBS virtual camera to the TikTok studio. But, you know, we're working through it. And as old Donnie Boy says again,
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So if you're listening on TikTok, if you're watching on TikTok, let me know. Let me know how things are going. I appreciate each and every one of you who are joining on every one of the platforms. It's manifesting. I'm trying to manifest everything to come through and be good. And who knows? Maybe this is the way I launch live on TikTok. Maybe I can use this as another way to get some more callers, because, you know, we typically do have the caller lines if we do open up the phone lines. Not sure if that'll happen today. But, you know, not too many people joining on the live. It looks like there's only one viewer at the time, and that one viewer right now, and that viewer is me, my nerdydan.com account. So, anyway. But I'm most worried about making sure I get all the subscriptions over on YouTube, liberaldanradio.com. But, you know, anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully people will, you know, just trickle in on all of the places as we go. Hopefully, when Hal gets done, we'll also end up getting some, you know, some raiders, and we'll deal with that as it comes. So, again, we talked about Louisiana versus Calais, and there's a lot more stuff that happened in that in the last 24 hours, and we will be talking about that tonight live. We will also be talking about several of the other things. Josh sees, you ever just start singing the "Had Biden Done It" to somebody while talking about current events to someone who doesn't watch the show and expect them to know it? I just expect everybody to know at this point, right? Because everybody was sharing the crap out of the song, right? I mean, why wouldn't they? It's such a great song. Why wouldn't you just play it all the live long day? And can you imagine if somebody, you know, doesn't, or if Joe Biden, like, or that's not working. We're not going to do that. I've tried to come up with some sort of weird way to play it again, but, you know, instead we'll just have to play the Liberal Dan Radio. It's all a hoax. We don't like Liberal Dan Radio. He's a liar. He doesn't say anything good about me, which means he's a bad program.
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
Squirrel says, I had to give Liberal Dan some love, just like I gave Trucker John, 2 favorite streamers. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm glad that I'm up there. You have very, very good taste in host, I would say. Liking me and Trucker John shows that your taste is just chef's kiss, right? Imagine if Hunter live reacted to a Pod Save My Trust Fund episode every time they glazed the guy with the Nazi tattoo. He paused, smiled at the camera, and played the clip from Had Biden Done It. That would be very funny. I would love to see Hunter Biden plugging Liberal Dan Radio by playing my music. I would not complain about the copyrights at all. So, anyway, I would even make a copyright clip or copyright claim. I mean, and if you can't see the copyright claim, does it really exist?
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the extinct list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist.
Hopefully I won't get too sleepy during tonight's show, simply because of the fact that I had an Alani tonight as well on top of my water, you know, just to keep my energy up, keep the caffeine up, etc. I gotta keep caffeinated. You got to be caffeinated to help the algorithms, right? Because Al Gore needs more rhythm. I don't know. That doesn't work either. I'm reaching today for it. Anywho, so let's go ahead and first thing I was going to do, and we're going to pop over the other screen real quick over here on, no, that still doesn't work. Let's see, what do we want to do? We want to change the settings for this to be this. Apply. There we go. There we go. We got that going over on Twitch. I'm going to get used to TikTok as well. But we got everything going on here. We want to listen to some of what old Pistol Pete Hegseth said the other day about speaking with the Joint Chiefs Chair, testifying on the Iran conflict and the military budget. Of course, we're getting this from C-SPAN, so can't be any copyright claims or whatever. Anyway, so we will go over a couple of this stuff, and then after we talk about this stuff for a little bit, once we get, you know, hopefully that'll give Hal enough time to kind of come through and get the raids going, and then we'll talk about the main topic of the day, which is the Louisiana versus Calais. I don't know what else I can say. We're almost, it's April 30th, so tomorrow, it's gonna be May! I'm a poet, I didn't know it, right? Every little thing I do. Anyway, I won't quit my day job. Big Hook also says, hi, Turtle Toes.
I like turtles.
So, any excuse to play that one, right? Let's see. He says, good to see you. I hear everybody loves you. Jealous. there's enough love in the world to go around for Jolie, right? Everybody can send all the love towards the Mod Squad because they deserve it. Again, I wouldn't be here without each and every one of you. I might have given up on this a long time ago if it wasn't for all of you. But I definitely love the fact that, you know, I have Aaron and Jolie being awesome mods, the best mod squad on the planet. Good to see you, Sean Tuna. Thank you for joining. Sparkler, thank you so much. And just remember to smash that like, subscribe button, etc., and share it to all your friends. We got 21 viewers and 16 likes on YouTube. Make sure to smash that like button before, and then smash the patriarchy. So, Hunter and AOC is atrocious at every game's 2028 ticket. I mean, I'm not mad at it. There was some interesting, like I was watching Riverboat Jack earlier today. She had a special stream on during the day, and she was talking a little bit about, you know, the stuff that's going on, and she was talking about John Ossoff, and how he apparently put out some video that kind of hints that maybe he might run for president. And my concern with an Ossoff campaign run is just simply this. I'm not opposed to it. You know, I was hella impressed that both Warnock and Ossoff were able to win the Georgia Senate back in old, you know, the 2020 election, which enabled to flip the Senate and all that good stuff. So I was very happy to see that. But my concern is that, you know, Donald Trump is, you know, his ideology is rooted in bigotry, it's rooted in hatred, and it's rooted in anti-Semitism. He claims to support Israel, or support the Jews because he supports Israel, but that's not the same thing. And of course, you know, I have a big concern over the idea that maybe, just maybe, if we had a situation where you had John Ossoff as the presidential candidate, of the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, that you might see even more anti-Semitism come out of the woodwork. Because, you know, Donald Trump is the guy that's made the comment about how he only wants the people with the yarmulkes counting his money, and he also said that if he lost the 2024 election, that it would be us, the Jewish people, who would be to blame. So I'm not going to sit here and have any faith that, you know, anti-Semitism isn't going to happen. Then you might have the stupid people who also are like who are gonna, you know, say, oh, Jewish equals Israel support. I haven't really seen what Ossoff's whole ideology on and any criticisms of the actions of the Israeli government. And if he doesn't criticize them strongly, I would have issues with him somewhat, at least in the primary. That being said, anybody's going to be better than whoever the Republican Party puts up there to replace Trump, assuming elections happen at all. So, anyway, Suzanne, we also appreciate you. Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 is also a very great show. I agree with you. I used to love that show a bunch. So, of course, that's Jessica Jones as well. So, anyway, let's go ahead and just watch some of old Pistol Pete Hegseth and see what he had to say in his opening speech about, you know, what's going on in the military with Iran, etc.
In support of President Trump's historic, as you said, Mr. Chairman, $1.5 trillion fiscal year 2027 budget for the Department of War. The president...
I love having a budget, more money for the budget, less money for daycare, less money for food stamps, but we don't need it because let them eat cake. And, you know, who cares about daycare? We can't afford to pay for daycare. We can't do it, even though we're Americans, not Americans, but we can't do it. So I love Pistol Pete. He's spending all the money going after Iran, bombing the shit out of them, taking out people in boats. It's great. It's the greatest thing ever. No one's had a better Secretary of Death. That's what we should call Pete Hegseth. Not the Secretary of Defense, not the Secretary of War, but the Secretary of Death. I think that should be the most honest description of old Pistol Pete there, right? Secretary of Death, Pete Hegseth.
This budget request reflects the urgency of the moment, addressing both the deferment of long-standing problems as well as positioning our forces for the current and future fights.
Future fights. So we're getting ready for future fights, huh? What other countries do you plan to invade there, Secretary of Death, Pete Hegseth? Who are we going to invade next? Who would Jesus invade, right? That would, you know, instead of WWJD WWJI, who would Jesus invade? Who would Jesus, or WWJA, who would Jesus attack? Right? So, anyway.
I'm honored to appear alongside General Dan Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Jay Hurst, our Chief Financial Officer and Comptroller. I'd like to start by thanking this committee and Congress for your partnership in securing the investment needed for a stronger, prouder, and more secure military.
I thought they didn't like pride. Oh, they don't like gay pride. They're fine with, being pride about who we murder, right? I'm sorry, TikTok. Who we unalive. I might have to start censoring myself now by saying the wordy dirds, right? The words you can't say on TikTok. Anyway, let's continue.
Your focus on acquisitions, your focus on efficiency are the reflection in our department as well and in this budget.
Efficiency, which basically means not giving a shit about who you bomb and just bombing indiscriminately to make sure it's efficient, right? Even though we've went through a whole shit ton of munitions, a whole shit ton of drones, missiles, and everything, to the point where now Donald Trump apparently wants the car manufacturing plants to start manufacturing, implements of war instead of, vehicles. Let's see, TikTok TOS. I mean, it's just so stupid. I mean, I've had videos go through to TikTok and nobody's complained about it, but still, you have to say the things like grape and unalive in order to be safe for TikTok, because TikTok doesn't allow you to have mature conversations about the topics of the day. So it's Jolie. Jolie is over there on TikTok. Say hi to Jolie. Appreciate you. And we are going to make Jolie a moderator. Confirm. There you go. We might change the settings later as needed, but Jolie is now a moderator as well. So thank you, Jolie, for coming over there on there. Bob LeBlanc, Liberal Dan does a great impression of the orange ghoul. I've been working on it. It used to be not as good. I'll absolutely, it's something that I've been working on, and mostly it's because I made it more deep, like I made it sure it's more raspy, because you gotta have the raspy voice. There's that other voice that he does where he kind of whispers. He whispers about that, but that doesn't sound like him at all. But with his voice, he loves talking like this, and you got to do the hands. He has but my hands aren't as small as old Donny Boy's. So anyway, what would MAGA attack for Donald John Trump, or who? Everybody. They would attack everybody. Even themselves. And I love the infighting that's going on, especially what Hal was watching earlier about, with Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, their little feud going on or whatever. That's just, let me break out the popcorn and just watch that and eat it, right? So anyway, let's continue with old Keg's death.
A nation's ability to build, to innovate, and to support the critical needs of its warfighters at speed and at scale.
Warfighters. Again, it's this is a culture of sorry, TikTok, this is a culture of death. This administration, MAGA, is a culture of death. It is a death cult. They just, if it was, it would be, defense fighters would be what they would call them if they were peaceful. But they're not peaceful. They're warmongers. And so that's why they call them war fighters, because they're warmongers.
Is the foundation upon which its deterrence and survival rests. However, upon taking office on January 20th, 2025, President Trump inherited a defense industrial base that had been hollowed out by years of America Last policies.
That's BS right there. Bullshit, as I should say, because our military was the strongest military in the world before Donald Trump was ever president, during his first presidency, during Biden's presidency, and now as well. There's nothing that Donald Trump has done to make our military better. In fact, right now, our military is probably worse off than it's been in the last 12 years, simply because of the fact that he's blown through so many munitions. He's blown through so many missiles and drones, etc., that, we might have to scramble if an actual threat faced our country, right? So,
resulting in a diminished capacity to project strength. Under the
no. I mean, one of our aircraft carrier groups showing up should be enough to make any world leader piss their pants. Or maybe they just need to wear the brown pants at that point. Maybe they would put on the brown pants to make sure that that they didn't look like Donald Trump sitting at the Resolute desk on the brown chair.
Previous administration, we were offshoring, outsourcing, beset by cost overruns and degraded capabilities.
You mean like degraded capabilities like conservatives do by firing people like, translators who happen to be Muslim, or, firing like, LGBTQA folks, and getting rid of, top brass because they don't agree with you ideologically? Like that? Oh, wait, no, that's y'all that are doing that, not Biden. It wasn't Biden. Can you imagine if Biden had, fired a whole bunch of well-qualified people who were generals in the military, and
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
no, not fully alive, yeah. Anyway, let's continue with the Secretary of Death.
But under the leadership of President Trump, our builder-in-chief, we are reversing
Our builder-in-chief. Trump the builder, can we build it? Trump the builder, yes we can. Wait, I don't like the word yes we can. It sounds too much like Obama. Too much, I don't like sounding like Obama. We can't say what he said because it makes me mad. I had to hide his picture because if I don't see the picture of Barack Obama, then Obama doesn't exist.
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist.
Let's see, Christina Weibel. So let me get this straight. Almost 2 years in, and it's still Biden's fault. Exactly, everything. Because, as we said on last show, the MAGA's Republican Party, the conservatives, the politicians don't know what it means. The idea of personal accountability, again, is so foreign to the MAGA right that they've already tried to deport it. So, anyway. Let's continue.
this systemic decay and putting our defense industrial base back on a wartime footing.
The only time that our military industrial base should be at a wartime footing is when we're at war. And we should only be at war when war is necessary. In this case, it was not necessary. It really would have been necessary had they not dismantled the Obama negotiated plan that took, over a year to negotiate, to have inspectors in and to make sure that they didn't have, the uranium processing or weapons program to be able to build a nuke. But Trump dismantled all that, which basically meant Iran had already got its own money back for nothing. So Trump did a giveaway. Like the conservatives, the Republicans want to say that Obama gave them pallet loads of cash, which is not true. They gave them their own cash back, not in pallets or whatever, but they gave them their own money back that they were going to get back anyway, but they just expedited the process to enable them to be able to agree to the inspectors on the ground. By Trump dismantling the deal, what happened? They got the money and now don't have to pay for it with any of the concessions that President Obama had so rightly and smartly implemented. So it was Donald Trump who did a cash giveaway to the Iranian folks. Of course, it's still their own money, but at least with Obama getting it back to them earlier, he got something. The art of the deal guy got nothing. Don't make fun of my ability to make deals. I made the great deals, best deals like nobody's ever seen. Anyway, let's continue.
Informs everything we do. We're rebuilding a military that the American people can be proud of. One that
Right, I'm proud to be an American because our military offs lots of people. That doesn't work really well.
instills nothing less than unrelenting fear in our adversaries and inspires historic morale and recruiting in its ranks.
So they're probably going after all the people who are like, in the death cult. And they're like, hey, you want to join the army and get to unalive people? Come on over to the U.S. military and we'll help you unalive all the people in the world that you could ever want to unalive. Right? I mean, again, this is a death cult. They're sick and twisted. And if previous presidents like President Biden had talked about the need to, have our, people be more deadly or whatever, they would have criticized Biden as a warmonger because
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it,
Thank you, Jolie, for the hand heart over on TikTok. Fansan, oh, Pete, sober enough to remember to blame everyone but himself and Donald for the problems they started. Exactly. Let's continue.
We fight to win in every scenario.
How's that going in Iran?
The $1.5 trillion budget put forward by the president will build upon a previous $1 trillion FY26 top line.
So $2.5 trillion for what? For higher gas prices, for the Strait of Hormuz that's currently, blocked, for destabilization of the entire region. Now UAE is leaving OPEC, which will cause the oil markets to be less stable. So what a great investment of $2.5 trillion, isn't it?
And will continue to reverse the 4 years of underinvestment and mismanagement of the Biden administration.
Again, there's no evidence that the Biden administration underinvested in our military. You're more than welcome to email me at liberaldanradio@gmail.com if you wish to give me evidence to the contrary. And if you can show me the proof that he underinvested in our military, I would absolutely admit that I was wrong. But I'm fairly confident that I won't have to do such a thing because everything this administration says is a lie.
The 1.5
LOL. No, Trump's not okay. Okay. Trump's bad. Okay.
$5 trillion budget will ensure that the United States continues to maintain the world's most powerful and capable military.
We've had that during Biden. We had that during Obama. We've had that for decades.
As we grapple with a complex threat environment across multiple theaters.
Hey, DB Golding and the Sparklers, appreciate y'all for joining. Thank you so much. We are doing a live here, 3 different places at this point. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, and we're also on Twitch and TikTok at this point. I was saving TikTok for last. Saved the worst for last, right? So, but thank you all for joining. Thank you, CSL, for rating. Appreciate all of the Sparklers. If you've not done so already, please make sure to give a follow over on Twitch. And of course, once I see the YouTube folks coming in, because they usually take a little longer to come on over than the Twitch folks, we'll welcome them as well. There is at least one person who's viewing who hasn't liked the stream, so please make sure to do so. Let's continue chatting or listening to what old Secretary of Death has to say.
Not to mention...
Oh, wait, there we go. There's Hal Sparks and the Sparklers over there on YouTube as well. Thank y'all for joining. Again, as you're coming in, please make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Help the algorithm out, because as we say, always on Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Al Gore needs more rhythm. Thank you, Ali Osher. Appreciate you. Good to see you, Water Goddess, over on Twitch. Thank you very much for Aaron for being subscribed over on Twitch for 28 months. Appreciate you. No, YouTube, it is not a good time for me to insert ads because, again, we're not going to submit the people to ads during live streams. Ads will be later if you want to watch the replay, but not on live stream. Remo Williams, Pete Hegseth, when Trump was looking for a defense secretary, he was the only option Fox News had. Pretty much. So, let's see. Let's continue.
The budget also includes a historic troop pay increase, 7% for junior enlisted, and the budget eliminates all poor or failing barracks. It
eliminates the barracks, so it just gets rid of the barracks, or it makes them not poor and not useless or whatever. Hey, Andrew, good to see you. Thank you for joining over on Twitch. Thank you so much. But yeah, it's kind of a vague statement as to what they actually did. Thank you, Eliosha, for the bits.
Of life for our troops is front and center in this budget. By supercharging our defense industrial capacity and transforming how the department does business, we are restoring America.
We've supercharged it. We've used Don Jr.'s Coke to supercharge it, to give it all the energy that you might need, right? Hey, Aben Arx, good to see you. Hey, James. Hey, Darkly Yours. Hey, Kelly. Good to see y'all. Thank you so much. Pillow Streamer, thank you so much. First time chat from the Raider. Good to see you.
In commercial dominance at a pace unseen in generations.
Like no one's ever seen. I mean, if you're going to follow the Trump line and repeat the Trump words, you got to actually say it in the way that Trump does. Because Trump would say, like no one's ever seen. I mean, didn't you get the memo?
Forming the defense industrial base from the broken, slow-moving...
Wait. What did he just say right there?
Defense industrial base.
He said defense industrial base. Let's hear that one more time because that's interesting.
We are restoring American commercial dominance at a pace unseen in generations, transforming the defense industrial base.
I thought it was the war industrial base. I thought we were no longer the Department of Defense, or y'all no longer were the Department of Defense. Now I thought you were the Department of War. When you rebrand, you got to be consistent with your rebrand. Otherwise, people aren't going to accept it, right? I mean, isn't that business strategy 101? I mean, what do I know? I never went to Wharton, like Trump did, I guess. I don't know, but it makes sense that if you rebrand, you want to be consistent with the rebrand. And so I guess Pete Hegseth doesn't quite understand that, right? Rima Williams says branding is important. Maybe these people should be branded in another way, right? Otis George, no one has ever seen anything like it. And of course, if Trump can't see it, it doesn't exist.
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
And at this point, I don't understand how people can listen to Donald Trump and not just start cracking up whenever he repeats the same things over and over again. I mean, he says he has the best words and that nobody has better words. Nobody has better words. It's the best word. Nobody has ever better words. They say he has the best words, but, in reality, he doesn't because he just repeats the same damn words over and over again. I mean, I guess maybe that's his brand, and as such, he's following his branding by only saying those several few things, but it just makes him, repeat it terrible. Primitive I can't, Dan. What, you can't watch it? Hey, 200 viewers, please make sure to smash that like button. Appreciate you. Jen is on a 25 stream streak over on Twitch. Good to see you. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Who's boring? Keg's Breath?
From the broken, slow-moving systems of the past.
Yeah, that's not true. Again, everything the Trump administration says is a lie.
We have flipped the Pentagon acquisition process from a bureaucratic model to a business model.
Because, you want profits, you want to be war profiteers, that's why you want, no. We should not be running the Department of Defense as a business model. We should be running the Department of Defense as a public good. It's not the job for the Department of Defense, for the military, to make us money. It's the job of the military to protect us. But I guess, I understand why they don't think that way, but because they're warmongers.
Decisively moving from an acquisitions environment paralyzed by bureaucratic red tape into an outcomes-driven organization.
Oh no, bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is the thing that, sometimes it can be unnecessary and harmful, but, a bureaucracy allows for things like, to stop unnecessary expenditures, to stop wasteful expenditures, kind of like what you were claiming that you were doing with Doge, but actually make it effective and make it actually not be a harmful cut. That's what bureaucracy does. It makes sure that, first of all, that the acquisitions make sense and that the cuts don't. Granted, not all military acquisitions make sense because Congress appropriates funds for things that the military doesn't even want, like, tanks and jets that the military is like, well, we don't need this crap, but then they sit the tanks and the jets on tarmacs or big parking lots or whatever because all we're doing is sending our tax dollars to the military industrial complex to help pay back campaign contributors instead of, spending money on things that the military might actually want or need. And I'm not going to begrudge Keg's death for, supporting the idea that our troops deserve a pay raise, but how effective is the actual pay raise? Based off, 7% of whatever it is they were making, how much are they now paying more because of your tariffs? How much more are they paying now because of the increased price of gas, because of this unnecessary attack of Iran? So you may be giving them a 7% raise from what their base salary was, but in reality, your policies are still punishing and hurting the military families. So let's continue.
Focus on delivering.
Let's see. Next, MAGA will tax Santa Claus unless he donates checks or no. Yeah, Santa got to give me the money. I'm going to shout and I'm going to cry if Donald Trump or if Santa Claus doesn't bring me, all the goods because I've been a good boy, supposedly. That's what I paid Stormy Daniels to tell me.
The most for taxpayer dollars. Over the past year, through historic multi-year procurement agreements that this committee supported, we've cut smart business deals
Have you now. Thank you, Alyosha, for the bits.
Have sent unambiguous demand signals to industry to build more and build faster. The
The build like no one's ever seen. Sorry.
result has been a surge, a revitalization of our great American factories, and a massive reinvestment in the skilled American workers who serve as the industrial muscle behind our warriors.
I agree with the person who's interrupting the meeting right now. He is a war criminal and he should be arrested, especially if he was involved with the decision to take out that fishing boat or whatever, the cocaine boat or whatever the hell the boat was holding, because we don't believe anything that they say, so we can't believe what the boat was carrying. But, you know, the boat's taken out, they're sitting on the boat, they bomb it again. You know, that's a war crime. Threatening to, you know, make Iran inhospitable and, you know, not capable of supporting life by taking out power plants and water desalination plants, you know, that's also a terrorist threat, which is a war crime. Help, help, I'm being repressed. Now you see the, whatever that's in the violence inherent in the system. Sorry. I used to have that on my soundboard. I don't think I imported that over yet, but of course.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
I have that one, so anyway, let's continue.
Further interruptions of our hearing will be treated in like manner. We appreciate the First Amendment rights of Americans to express themselves, but
Don't say that you support First Amendment, because we don't. Here in the Trump administration, you only have First Amendment rights if you're going to talk good about me. If you're not going to talk good about me, then I'm going to have to take away your licenses and remove your ability to talk publicly or whatever. But yes, Monty Python time, exactly.
disruption of this hearing will not be tolerated. So, Mr. Secretary, you may continue.
I'll briefly provide some concrete high-level metrics of what we've accomplished over just the past.
Concrete. Don't you mean asphalt? Because that's what Donald Trump does. Donald Trump doesn't put concrete down and fix things. He just throws layers of asphalt over it, so you can't see the problems laying underneath, because...
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the extinct list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist.
I'm sorry, Suzanne, that the Keg's death thing is pissing you off. Have fun watching your kitty videos. I understand, you know, not all... We can't always, you know, enjoy watching, you know, berating these ass clowns or whatever, but it's still important that we have to cover it and go over it, right? So, but let's continue.
Past few months. These are announced
hey, Christine, good to see you. Thank you for joining over there on YouTube.
New facilities and investments to support America.
Asphalt with emphasis on ass.
Yeah, I love the asphalt. I'll put the ass in asphalt.
Warfighters. The department has helped stimulate more than 250 private investment deals in 39 states, 180 cities, in 150 companies worth more than...
How many of them are tied to the Trump family? How much money is Donald Trump making off this crap? That's what I want to know.
$50 billion. It's
$100 billion. Sorry.
Resulted in 280 new or expanded facilities, more than 18 million new square feet of American manufacturing, and more
I don't like square feet. Regular size feet are good for me.
than 70,000 new jobs. These $50 billion in investments in new plants, new assembly lines, and new factories are private investments, not taxpayer dollars. By completely transforming our department's business model, American companies are investing in America with their own dollars. A historic demonstration of American manufacturing and defense revitalization, all with their money, not Uncle.
So they're making munitions and they're making other things on their own, you know, and they're just going to donate them, or they're going to see funds afterwards once you start buying all the stuff. Like, they're investing in the idea that y'all are going to pay them back with much more money to support whatever war efforts y'all want to do. So, you know, manipulation is what they love to do, and that's exactly what I believe is going on there, which is them, you know, saying, oh, these people are using private investment dollars, but then the U.S. military is going to use that $2.5 trillion, you know, the $1 trillion from before and then the $1.5 trillion supplemental, lump it all together and then spend all that money on these companies, and these companies are going to be making money hand over fist, you know, enriching the war profiteers, enriching the military-industrial complex. And I'm sure when that happens, before the purchases happen, I'm sure there'll be lots of purchases from members of Congress and members of the White House, and probably members of the Supreme Court as well, right? So,
SAMs. This has never been done before and is long overdue.
Like no one's ever seen. No, nothing has been done before. We're all new ideas here with the Trump administration. Everything's new.
From a bureaucratic model to a business model. These investments equal great things for America, for American families, and American workers, to ensure that our warfighters have everything
They're warfighters. Like, it just sounds so awkward when he says it's forced. Like, again, they should be defense fighters. They should be, you know, I mean, just call them fucking soldiers or whatever. Call them, you know, anything but war fighters, because again, you're just making them sound like, I mean, yeah, well, I understand that the military involves violence, and that's fine. But, you know, the best presidents are the presidents that don't put us in the war. The worst presidents are the ones that run to war. Now, sometimes war is unavoidable and inevitable, and then at some point you have to jump in. World War I, World War II, for example. But still. It's the goddess Kimchi who's in chat. Good to see you, goddess. Thank you for joining.
they need. All
war fighters. Are you spelling it WHARF, not WORF like Star Trek? Like, sir, I protest. I am not a merry man.
All American made. Together with the help of the policy updates and appropriations passed by Congress, President Trump's War Department.
They'll fight for freedom. Freedom fighting warriors. That means if firefighters fight fires, do freedom fighters fight freedom? Right? Donald Trump's probably least favorite cartoon is probably G.I. Joe, because he's like, it reminds me of Joe Biden, and you don't want to call people Joe. I call G.I. Joe, I call it Sleepy Joe, because that's my name for him. It should be G.I. Don. Even though he never went, to war because of, Captain Bone Spurs or whatever. Quiet Storm says he's a smug, lying scumbag. Well, everybody in this administration are lying scum, and smug as well.
Has begun to turn.
Warfighters sounds like a video game team he used to play when he was a kid last year. He probably gets off to it as well, but maybe that's more of a topic for Liberal Dan Radio After Dark.
Oh my.
Anyway, let's continue.
Turn the lights back on in our manufacturing towns across this country, forging a
when the lights go down or on in the city. Sorry.
Lethal arsenal of freedom. Every policy we pursue, every budgetary item we request serves to ensure that this department remains laser focused on increasing
Sorry.
lethality and survivability from the front lines to the factory floor. This is a historic budget, as you said.
Yeah, historic. That doesn't mean good. It just means historic. Like the ruling yesterday, Louisiana versus Callais, was historic. That doesn't mean it's good.
Mr. Chairman, this is a fiscally responsible budget, and this is a warfighting budget.
2.5 trillion doesn't smell like fiscal responsibility to me. It smells like something else, but that's probably whatever Don put in his depends.
Speaking of warfighting, the topic of Iran, I'm sure, will come up often today.
Speaking of warfighting, we love the warfighters. We hate the liberals. We hate the loony left. We hate the people who stand in the way, the enemy within, which is what Donald Trump called the people who disagree with him, the enemy within. Kimchi, why do I have the urge to get face-planting drunk? Because you're watching an alcoholic right now, maybe. Maybe you feel like, oh, I need to... Maybe that's why everybody around the Secretary of Death, everybody around him was probably like, God damn, I can't stand this Kegs Death guy. We got to drink. And he was like, oh, let's drink too, right? The Rantler, GoldenEye 64 didn't have enough gold. Very disappointing. I don't like it. Although GoldenEye 64, that was one of the best games. Like if you, I would love to have that game and play that game now. I mean, we used to play that in my fraternity. It was so good. It was the best game, like no one's ever seen. Sorry, Pete sounds like a snobby frat boy born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He even has gobs of hair gel, which probably borrowed from his favorite prosperity gospel teacher. Maybe he just hasn't showered in a few days either. I don't know. You know,
which I welcome. I look forward to sharing the incredible success of our military effort achieved in a matter of weeks.
Success in weeks. How long did it say it was going to be? How many weeks past that are we now? You know.
President Trump has the courage,
they have
has
to drink,
had, unlike other...
They have to take a drink or drink a shot for every time he says war fighters. Oh, goddamn. We would all be unalived from, you know, alcohol poisoning if we all tried to do that, because holy crap. The only time we'd be more drunk is if, you know, we had to take a shot every time they lied.
Presidents to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon, and that
you did that last year, supposedly, right? Didn't you do that last year? It was obliterated. They obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities, right? So, and then they did it again, supposedly, and then once there's another need to, they'll do it again because, you know, gotta wag the dog, right?
Their nuclear blackmail never succeeds. We have the best...
And there's one thing that Donald Trump doesn't like, it's blackmails. Right? Or there's multiple things that Donald Trump doesn't like, but that's one of them.
Negotiator in the world driving a great deal.
Wait.
We have the best nuclear weapon, and that their nuclear blackmail never succeeds. We have the best negotiator in the world driving...
Trump? The Art of the Deal guy, the actual ghostwriter of The Art of the Deal, said that he shouldn't write the book because it created this mythos that Donald Trump's a great deal maker, and it's not, or he's not.
A great deal. Unfortunately, as I said yesterday, and I'll say it again today, the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless naysayers and defeatist words of congressional Democrats.
They're the biggest adversaries are not Iran, not terrorists. The biggest adversaries are the congressional Democrats. Again, this is the administration that we played yesterday that said clearly that they want to, or maybe it was Monday, that they wanted us to stop with the vilification and stop with all of these hurtful, horrible things that insult the best president that we ever had. But they're the ones that call us the enemy within. They're calling us the biggest adversaries. That's the problem. That's what's causing the vitriol. That's what's causing the problems. You and y'all in the Trump administration who are vilifying American citizens simply because we disagree with how y'all are doing what you're doing. We don't necessarily even disagree with stopping Iran from getting a nuke. We're fine with stopping Iran from getting a nuke. We supported President Obama when he took steps to stop Iran from getting a nuke, because he did so in a way that was actually done by actual negotiators who got a good deal. Y'all couldn't admit that it was a good deal, because then you'd have to admit that Barack Obama did something right. He did plenty of things right. But y'all immediately started from day one trying to prevent him from being able to do anything, which is why, you know, Congress came to a screeching halt, and they were only able to pass a couple of things, like the Affordable Care Act, like the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, like the Matthew Shepard hate crimes bill, things that were good that needed to be done. But again, more could have gotten done if y'all would have just been a bunch of racist fucks and said, oh, well, this is the first black president. We can't let him get anything done. So we're going to stop him from doing everything. So.
And some Republicans, defeatists from the cheap seats who 2 months in seek to undermine the incredible efforts that have been undertaken and
the
historic nature of taking on a 47-year threat with the...
A 47-year threat. Just because they scream death to America out all the live long day doesn't mean they're actually able to do the fucking thing. You know, they could scream whatever they want to scream out. I mean, I don't necessarily have to like it, but it doesn't justify going after them. How many Iranians were involved in 9/11? Saudi Arabians. There were 19 Saudis. Now, I'm not going to blame every person from Saudi Arabia for the attacks of 9/11. Clearly, you can't. But, you know, it wasn't the Iranians doing it. The Iranians didn't attack us on 9/11. The Iranians aren't the ones who attacked the USS Cole. That was Al-Qaeda. Let's continue.
Courage no other president has had to.
Yeah, okay. I will agree with Pete Hegseth there, with the Secretary of Death, old Pete, that Donald Trump has the courage like no other president has had before. And that amount of courage is a big fat goose egg. Like he's a chicken shit. He is not a courageous person whatsoever. Not one bit. He is not courageous at all. Anyway.
Great success and great opportunity for preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, Trump's courage equals
Despite
Lenny
this,
Krueger
under
fact.
President
Exactly.
Trump, we are restoring the unbreakable might of American manufacturing.
Unbreak the might, say you'll go to war again. Undo the peace that was caused by democratic presidents and fuck up the world. Or something.
We're providing for our warfighters, and we are putting the people in
warfighters.
the interests of this country first. May
America first, right?
Almighty God continue to watch over our troops wherever they are.
And I'm going to read from Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous man. A fucking idiot.
And may we honor the legacy of those brave Americans that we have lost. This is our sacred...
Lost because of why? Because y'all went into a battle and started a battle that wasn't needed, started a war that wasn't needed to be able to, because again, last year, y'all the ones that, supposedly took out Iran's nuclear infrastructure. But, got to do it again because, got to distract from things like the Epstein files.
Mission, and this is what we will continue.
47 years is wrong. In 1953, we installed the Shah. There was a POTUS who did something. How did that turn out? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The idea that how we just left the Shah of Iran in is just, create some Earth 2 where, what would happen if the Shah would have been there? Do you think it would be some peace-loving, wonderful, safe haven of peace and prosperity? Do you really think that? I don't. Let's continue. So yeah, I watched all the Trump versions. I didn't get to watch any of the Arnold Governor versions. We'll have to check these out. Let's see, the Trump version, not Martha Stewart or Brit or Irish. Doing great over 20. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure exactly what I was talking about. So let's go ahead and flip back over here real quick on Twitch, whatever, because we're going to change up our thing because we're done with old Pistol Pete. Now we got a couple of ones that we want to go after. Here's Senator Gillibrand. Let's pop that one back open. Let's see if this comes open like that. Nope, it's still just showing that. Let's just see if... Oh, yep. Oh, it is good. Okay, it worked properly. Look at that. So, again, Defense Secretary and Joint Chiefs Chair testify on Iran conflict and $1.5 trillion budget request.
How much the American people do not support this war. It is an unauthorized war. Normally, when you come to Congress, it's a way for the American people to be part of that discussion.
Remember, 60 days, I think, is tomorrow. So tomorrow is when the president should, by law, is required to come to the Congress and say, now, here's the information, here's what we've done, now let's approve this war. Are they going to do that? No, they're not going to do that. I have no faith that they will do that. And will the Supreme Court say, well, this war is illegal then? No, they won't, because the Supreme Court just, has firmly affixed themselves to the orange cheeks, so to speak. So, let's see, when did the word soldier or military personnel become demeaning? During the Trump administration. He wants to call them war fighters. Anyway, yeah, laws, exactly, atrocious every game. Laws are optional for Trump. Can you imagine if Joe Biden had attacked another country and remained at war for 60 days and didn't go to Congress like they were required to?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Anyway, also, Arnold would be a better president. Yeah, he can't be president. But then again, neither can Trump and neither can Obama. But Trump's like, hey, well, I deserve a third term. Look, fine, you can get it. You can try and go for the third term. Let's make a constitutional amendment to make it that, eliminate term limits for the presidency, and then we'll put you up against Obama, and we'll see how you do. Because Obama would beat that ass. So, even worse if Obama done it. I mean, I don't know. But there's no song, had Obama done it. No. I mean, maybe it would have been, but still.
The American people, particularly in my state of New York, are upset for a lot of reasons. First of all, this war is costing so much money. Over $25 billion already, estimates $1 billion a day, and they're feeling it every single day at the gas pump with higher prices for both fuel.
But that's just temporary. I said that the gas prices will come down, and the increased price of people paying exorbitant amounts for the gasoline in their tanks is a price that I'm willing to pay because I don't pay for gas. The only gas I have is the one that comes out of my ass. Anyway.
For diesel, for gasoline for their cars. They're also feeling it with higher grocery costs, and they're exhausted. They are truly exhausted. On top of that, they have so many grave concerns about how this war is being prosecuted. They read in the paper that 22 schools have been hit. They read in the paper about a girls' school, hundreds getting killed.
Is Keg's death? Because I haven't seen any of this. I just knew he testified, but I didn't see any of this. I just happened to hear that he called, the people on the left, the congressman on the left, the biggest adversary. I heard that. That's why we had to play it. But I haven't seen any of this. So let's see how old the Secretary of Death responds to Kristen Gillibrand.
We have a debate going on in this country about AI, a serious debate about AI. And I haven't heard yet from you that you will not allow AI to make final targeting determinations, even when nuclear weapons are being used.
I mean, that's a serious question that should be answered. We should all be, absolutely be concerned if this administration is going to allow AI to make decisions. I mean, artificial intelligence is one step above Donald Trump, who has no intelligence, and maybe having AI make the decision would be better than having Trump making the decision. But then again, somebody claimed that they had to take away the nuclear codes away from Trump because he, wanted to see it, and he, wanted to just, throw nukes around or whatever.
That's a huge issue that we need to discuss. So I want to start from the top, Secretary Hegseth. Why do you continue to prosecute a war that the American people aren't behind?
Because I follow my president, the best president in the world, like, whatchamacallit says. The best president that we've ever seen.
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity for that closed session where we had a, unsurprisingly, very different discussion than we...
Bruce Ulis? Is that what it is? DJT is AI, authentic ignorance. Okay, I can see it.
...have here with the cameras on. We support this...
Because my job is to represent New Yorkers, and I can tell you, when I talk to them all across my state, they are furious, and they expect me to explain to them why they are furious.
It's fair.
And Senator, when I talk to Americans, and especially when I talk to the troops, they are grateful for a president who has the courage to take on this threat after 47 years of whatever.
I guarantee you that he's not talking to the Americans that are going to disagree with him. He's only going to talk to the American people who will just kiss his and Trump's ass. And again, even if nobody said this to him, this administration is full of liars, and they'll just say it anyway because they're full of propaganda.
Has done targeting and killing Americans. And
she should just be like, I don't believe you.
What it would mean to the world if Iran's nuclear ambitions were actually achieved. So the question I would ask to you and to others is, what is the cost of a nuclear-armed Iran? What is the cost to the American people if the world's most dangerous regime has a nuclear weapon?
But the truth is, they don't want war coming to this shore, and when you do a decapitation operation, the likelihood is going to be exchanged in the United States. There's no evidence that we are safer because of this war.
Exactly, and especially if they do what Donald Trump is threatening to do, which is taking out the power infrastructure, taking out the water desalination process, making Iran inhospitable for 93 million people. Some of those 93 million people are going to be radicalized so much by the actions taken by our president, by the actions taken by our government, by our military, by our war fighters. They're going to, be so pissed off that they're going to come here and bring the fight to us. and it will cause more American people dying, all because this administration doesn't know how to actually act like human beings.
We did not have any evidence that Iran intended to imminently attack this country in any way, shape, or form. So I disagree with your assessment that we are under threat.
Do you not believe them when they say death to America?
Yeah, well, I believe that they might be saying it, but they're probably saying it half just for propaganda shit. They're not, I'm sure most of the people who you want to make Iran inhospitable for don't believe that, or might say it when, they have a gun to their head from the people, from the heads, be like, you're going to say death to America, or we're going to take you out, or something like that. So when you live under an oppressive regime such as that, you don't have the free speech rights that you might have in this great country, or that we're supposed to have here, which we're losing quickly because this administration doesn't like free speech. That being said, the idea that they believe that the actual words were an actual threat just shows that they're a bunch of fucking idiots at worst. Bald Thanos, thank you for the super chat. How much hair gel does Hegseth use? Like, it's a full barrel, like a 55-gallon drum, like it's an oil drum full of hair grease every day, because he has to have a helmet to protect himself from anybody who might be coming after him. Anything will just deflect right off the hair, go pa-ching. Anyway. MST Wash, do they not have free speech? Who? Us here in the country, or the Iranians?
Listen, our adversaries use rhetoric.
Thank you for the follow. Hold on a second. I'm trying to bring that down. Trying to see. Kiki Bibi, is that what your name is? Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Anyway, is Brill Cream still available? I don't know if Brill Cream is still available, but I'm sure he would be using it, and he probably smells like Brill Cream and Brute. It's probably what he smells like.
All the time. What I'm concerned about is we are not safer, and I would just like to know why you have not sought the support of the American people, and 3 out of 5 Americans are against this war today.
I believe we do have the support of the American people, and we have...
He's probably like, we have the support of the American people, at least the American people that matter, which means the people wearing red hats who are also unvaccinated. Those are the people we care about. Everyone else can go jump off a cliff, right? That's probably what they believe.
Briefed regularly
Kiki Bibi, he is so stupid. Yes, very much so.
What this mission looks like and why it's critically important that we
Yeah, Grizzlies, or Bob LeBanc, Brill Cream, a little dab will do you. So what, this? Sorry.
Taken. And I would remind you and this group that we're 2 months in to an effort, and
2 months into an effort that you said would be 4 weeks, right? 2 months, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks into 2 months. It's not great math for you, right? Hey, 250 kilo, I'm good to see you as well. Same amount of gel as the orange pate for Dozy Don. Yeah, pretty much. XX Swallow Ballo, good to see you. Thank you for joining as well. Appreciate you. Thank you for the follow. Let's continue with the grilling of Keg's death by Gillibrand.
Congressional Democrats, as I pointed out, want to declare defeat 2 months in.
We're not wanting to declare, or they're not wanting to declare defeat. They just want to, make sure that things are happening, legally and constitutionally, and not in a way that puts us at more risk in the long term.
Iraq took how many years?
Primitive icon. Kristen is trying not to say F you. I mean, yeah, you could see it in her eyes right there. It's just like, oh man, this motherfucker.
Afghanistan took how many years? And they were nebulous missions that people went along with. This is different. This is a defined mission set that we have had.
What is the defined mission set? Because before it was no regime change. Now it's regime change. Before it was just taking out the nuclear capability. Then it was other things. There's lots of mission creep going on here. Give us what the defined mission set. Oh, if they dared to ask what is the defined mission set, the response of this administration would be, well, we can't tell you, because if we told you, we'll be telling the enemy what we're up to. Anyway.
Great success in pursuing against a determined enemy who seeks nuclear weapons, and I'm proud of the opportunity to remind the American people, because they believe in it as well, that they can't have it.
You don't care whether the American people support this war.
The American people are quite smart. They understand and see.
There's a large chunk of the American people who are clearly not smart, and those are the people that all voted for your boss.
through spin. They know that a regime that says death to America, that seeks nuclear weapons and the
at
ability
what
to deliver.
cost?
Did they lie about the range of their missiles?
How much
Because I
more?
saw a 4,000
How much
kilometer
more will you
missile
ask the
get
American
shot
people
at
to pay for this war?
Diego
right
Garcia.
now, do you want it $1 billion a day? Do you want it $2 billion a day? You're asking.
5 billion. Let's see. Kiwi. According to China's Ministry of National Resources, on April 29, 2026, the country discovered 13 new massive oil fields and 26 large gas fields. These findings, part of a 225 total large medium discoveries, arise from a 450 billion yen investment during 2021 to 2025, significantly boosting domestic energy security via ultra-deep and deep-sea drilling technologies. Interesting. Of course, you know, do we totally believe what's coming out of the Chinese propaganda ministry as well? I don't know. But yes, 250 called the Department of Mission Creeps. You just take away mission and it's just the Department of Creeps because, you know, Keg's death is a big old creep. 143 viewers, currently 71 likes. Please make sure to smash that like if you're watching on YouTube. If you haven't watched on YouTube, go subscribe over on YouTube and give it a like as well.
Asking for $200 billion.
Let's see, does Hegseth not realize he's going to be the fall guy for all of this? His day is coming. His day is coming, huh?
Oh my.
I don't know. I didn't think that any of the people on the right, any of the Trump administration could cause anybody to do that.
Oh my.
Anyway, let's continue.
There's more to fund this war and to make sure we have
didn't ask for $200 billion. I don't know where you got that number from, Senator. I think you got it from the news, which you should be careful what you read in the news.
Okay, Mr.
You should also
Hegseth.
be
Here.
You should also be careful with what you hear from this administration because they are full of shit. Kiki Baby, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. As an ethnic Chinese, I'm laughing right now at the White House and MAGA.
Secretary Hegseth, here's a few more. Let's talk about how you're prosecuting the war. What is your response to targeting that has resulted in the destruction of schools, hospitals, civilian places?
Is she from Long Island? Is Gillibrand from Long Island? Because of the way she said schools, it very much sounds like she's from Long Island.
Why did you cut by 90% the division that's supposed to help you not target civilians? And do you know the impact of a strategic failure at a war when you have so many civilian casualties? You may have tactically completed a mission well, but strategically is not meeting your goals because of the harms to civilians. What is the cost of that?
Let's leave time for an answer.
Let's leave time for an answer. It's not her responsibility to leave time for an answer. It's her time. She gets to use her time how she sees fit. If she wants to sit there for her 5 minutes and filibuster and basically just tell him how much of a giant piece of crap he is, that's her ability to do so as a sitting member of this committee. Are you telling that to the Republicans on the committee? Of course, the Republicans on the committee are most likely going to sit there and allow Keg's death to be able to say whatever it is he wants to say and float whatever propaganda they want to float. But because, you know, the Republican Party is useless and feckless as it pertains to standing up to Donald Trump and the ridiculousness that comes from this. But the idea that she needs to let him have time to respond, I would turn immediately and say, F you. No, I get to use my time as I see fit.
No military, no country works harder at every echelon to ensure they protect civilian lives than the United States military. And that is a...
Yeah, he should be a stand-up comedian with that. Really? I mean, he can't really possibly believe that.
Ironclad commitment.
Yeah, primitive. I did see that as I was searching up that she was born and raised in Albany, New York. So yes, or Albany.
That we make, no matter what systems
And
we
why
use.
did you cut the department by 90%?
Exactly. So let's go ahead and we don't need to see the ads because we don't need ads for that. Yada, yada, yada. Let's switch back here real quick. And close this window and
so I just want you to help me understand.
We have 2 more people. We have Elizabeth Warren
On March 23rd,
and we have Jackie Rosen, a Democrat from Nevada. We're going to go over those 2, and then we're going to get into the other topic of today's show, which is the Louisiana versus Callais and the effect that it's going to have on Louisiana and what's literally happened in the last 24 hours. So we're going to go over that in a little bit as well because I live in Louisiana, so I'm, you know, probably one of the better people to talk to or listen to about what's going on here because I have to live under Governor Jeff Landry and his ridiculous administration and all the other ridiculous Republican elected state officials and all the bullshit that they're bringing. So anyway, Let's see. Okay, still not a fan of Warren anymore. She is now supporting a guy with a Nazi tattoo who posted that rape art apologia. Grape! I have to say grape because we're on TikTok now. She couldn't defend Biden's stutter. I mean, I'm not happy with that, but yeah. Let's see. I charged it every game. Gillibrand's right here. She's kind of lost me, whatever. Hold on a second. Let me turn off my micro real quick. Somebody's knocking at my door. Knock, knock, knocking on Daddy's door. I will be right back in a second. My wife needs my help downstairs. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So let's go ahead and just turn this. What is it? What do we want to put it on here? No. Do we want to put it on here? No. Which do we want to use to turn this off? We're just turning it off for a brief second, and we will be right back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Liberal Dan Radio, talk from left, that's right. Turn that back on. There we go. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just a little mobility issue that I had to go deal with, but you know, it happens. Or as you know, Donald says. Oh, hold on. My things aren't connected as they should be. Hold on. I might have to unplug and replug this.
Just 4.
Oh, hold on. There we go. I think we got everything now. We should be good. I think we're good. Dan, can you tell us about Joel the Spinning Shark? Joel the Spinning Shark. I think someone else is probably better to describe. I mean, like, I understand that it's, you know, something from maybe gaming or something, but all I know is that if you put up Joel the fish up there, just saying Joel, it spins. So, anyway, you know what it is. Anyway, as the sound I wanted to play earlier is...
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So we're all back to working now. Okay, it's a sturgeon. Like a sturgeon. Hey! Caught for the very first time. Like a sturgeon. I don't know. I can't think of any other words because I'm not Weird Al. I mean, I did think of the Man Who Shot His Pants song in like less than 10 minutes, which is pretty good for a very quick parody, but... Good to see you, 5 Eggs. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Good to see you tonight. Again, you know, we just had to deal with issue with Cassie because, again, mobility issues, etc., etc. So, but thank you all for hanging out and staying while we deal with this. So, appreciate you. Let's go ahead and continue with Senator Jackie Rosen and conversations with the Secretary of Death, Pete Hegseth.
So I just want you to help me understand this. In February, on the eve of Operation Epic Fury, you publicly...
It's not that. I really wanted to call Operation Epic Furry because I love the furries. That's my secret kink. I love furries. They dress up in little outfits like wolves and sheep. And, you know, I love the sheep. That's why I love the MAGA folks, because they're all sheep. Anyway.
Designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk. However, this week it's been reported that the White House is now helping agencies get around this decision to access Anthropic's technology. So the administration cannot credibly...
So the administration, the right hand of the administration doesn't know what the left hand's doing?
Just don't ask what my hands are doing. They're grabbing people by the you-know-what, because that's what we do, because we're rich. We love to grab the people. That's what our hands are doing. Anyway.
We make both claims simultaneously. So before I ask you about the inconsistency, I just want you to reconfirm what it is you plan to use this technology for. It's been publicly reported that the decision to label Anthropic a national security risk was influenced by your personal and very public contract dispute with Anthropic when the company said that its technology could not be used for fully autonomous weapons targeting or mass surveillance of Americans.
Oh no, the horror! They don't want their technology being misused by the U.S. government. I mean, they say there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, but I mean, that's at least them trying to be at least a little bit ethical, right? Just a tad, teensy bit. God forbid they don't want to have their own technology used against American people.
So following up on your response to Senator Rounds earlier, can you confirm whether or not there will always be a human in the loop when AI is used for lethal targeting?
Because notice that question wasn't answered earlier, right? Wasn't it Senator Gillibrand that questioned that? And of course they ran out of time because she had to give time, right? Hey, Teresa, good to see you. Thank you for joining.
Decisions.
Well, first of all, on Anthropic, they would not agree to our terms of service. That would be like Boeing giving us airplanes and telling us who we can shoot at.
This is not. So this is not just about Anthropic, though. This is.
I just want to be clear, and also.
I mean, no, but it's not the case. It's you know, Boeing would be like, you know, okay, we don't want to sell you our product if you're going to use it to attack American citizens. Like, I mean, I would think that would be a reasonable thing for somebody to want them to agree with. And of course, this administration doesn't want to say we're not going to use it against American citizens. Like, come on.
And
Anthropic is run by an ideological lunatic who shouldn't have
But that's not my
soul.
question.
An ideological lunatic. That would be your boss.
Question is AI
Decision-making
writ
over
large.
what we do.
Writ large.
We follow the law,
Should
Senator.
AI, will you
We follow the law. The law isn't always right, just, or ethical. Slavery was legal, remember? They followed the law. Doesn't mean they were acting ethically or morally.
confirm you said this to Senator
Imagine if Joe Biden refused to say he wouldn't use something against the American citizens. What would happen?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
That's right, we're here, the Liberal Dan Radio Jukebox. You put in a quarter and I'll play a song. Or not even a quarter, I guess. So anyway, let's continue.
rounds earlier, so I'm just asking for you to
We
recommit.
follow the law, but we don't have to sign a different terms of agreement with,
That's not,
with Anthropic.
this is not the question. This is
Again, they dodge questions, because they don't like the truth.
not about Anthropic. This is just an example. I want you to confirm that whether or not there will always be a human in the loop when AI is used in a kill chain for lethal targeting decisions. Will there always be a human in a loop, or will AI make the decision? You said this to...
We follow the law! Answer the question, you dumb piece of you-know-what.
We follow the law and humans make decisions.
Okay, but that's not an actual answer to the question. Will there ever be a situation where artificial intelligence will be used to determine whether or not somebody should be unalived, as TikTok requires? Will that ever be a decision where no human is involved in the decision making? That's what we want to know. Will you give us a yes or no, Secretary of Death? Hey, Kiki, good to see you. Thank you for joining, and thank you for following the stream. Appreciate you. Anyway, let's continue.
So
that sigh is all that's needed. If I could encapsulate that sigh and make it like knowledgeable as to what they're actually saying, it's just like the giving up. Like, this person is just never going to answer the question. Anyway, that's because he can't answer the question, because answering the question might go against what Donald Trump says. And according to this conservative caller to a conservative talk radio show,
You're in a cult, man.
and it's talking to the people who are MAGA, because that guy is no longer MAGA, which is great to hear. What was it again?
You're in a cult, man.
Anyway, let's continue.
you will confirm what you said to Senator Rounds, that a human will always be in the loop when AI is used.
Which is why that's part of our terms of service anyway. It's how we operate.
But just say the fucking words.
All I want to say is this. There is a DOD directive, 3000.09, which mandates that autonomous and semi-autonomous weapon systems be designed to allow commanders and operators to exercise appropriate levels of human judgment over use of force. That is in the DOD
That's why we follow the law, Senator.
So the answer is yes, Mr. Secretary.
The answer is we follow the law.
But again, the answer is we follow the law, which means if they came up with the law, if they were able to find some loophole in the law that allowed them to do it, they're going to do it. Like, again, the law can allow you to do a whole bunch of shit. But if you're not going to, but him saying we're following the law and him not committing to an absolute yes, every single decision that is made will always have some human with final sign-off. His refusal to say that should put a lack of trust. If you have any trust for this administration, I don't. Most of the people watching on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch don't have any trust for this administration whatsoever. But if you were somebody who still trusts this administration for whatever god darn reason you might have a reason to trust them for, if you still have, why would you continue to trust them if they can't even have a simple yes answer to there will always be a human making the decision at the end of the day? A human is always going to have to sign off. If you can't say that, Keg's Death, then you really are the Secretary of Death, because you don't give a shit about what's going to happen. if you can't commit to that simple premise, you have no business sitting in that chair. You have no business leading the Department of Defense, because that's what it's really called. You have no business being a leader for our troops, and you should just go back home and get drunk and cheat on your wives. Let's continue.
Absolutely.
I think this
He agrees with me, right?
is more important than following the law. I think that people want to know that AI isn't going to make lethal decisions.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for that. For anyone who has a scintilla of trust for this administration, how long would it have taken you to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedo? Exactly. Although, I do have to say one thing about you, Atrocious at Every Game. That you would use scintilla is probably lost on any person who's MAGA who's watching this. Just saying. Anyway.
Decisions, and it is critically
AI
important.
is not making lethal decisions.
That's what we want to hear. We're going to follow on that one.
Imagine
all the people being stupid Trump supporters. Woo-hoo. You may say they're a dumbass, but you're not the only one. So 86-47. And it doesn't mean that I want to unalive anyone. Sorry, had to throw that in there, right? So let's go ahead and switch scenes here. And then we'll bring this back up again with Senator Warren from Massachusetts.
14 minutes before Trump unexpectedly posted about, quote, very good conversations on ending the war.
5 eggs, call in, can I? After this, maybe we'll open up the phones for a smidge. And you can call in before we start talking about the Louisiana versus Calais.
Traders suddenly bet $500 million on the price of oil, which, once Trump made his announcement, immediately dropped. It happened again on April 7th, and then again on April 21st, a surge in oil bets, then a Trump post, and then a huge shift in oil prices.
Again, as we've said here on Liberal Dan Radio, talk from left, that's right. That is what this administration is doing. They are manipulating the price of oil. They are manipulating the stock market altogether by saying things like, oh, we're going to have tariffs. No, we're not going to have tariffs. Oh, we're going to do this thing in the war. Oh, we're not going to do this thing in the war. They're manipulating the markets and making millions and millions, if not billions of dollars off of their stock trade. That's what they're doing here. This is why I reject the whole taco idea of Trump always chickening out, because it's not chickening out if you're purposely taking actions and making decisions that are specifically done to manipulate the stock market so you can enrich yourself and your sycophant buddies can enrich themselves too. So let's continue.
In just the space of minutes. It looks like insiders have been making out like bandits, using secret information about the war. Now, one U.S. soldier has been charged, but that was for betting on capturing Maduro months ago. Not a single person has...
And again, then the only reason they're doing it, and look, I do not agree with the idea that these speculative markets or whatever they want to call them, that these things should be, that they should be regulated under as a security. They shouldn't, this is not securities. This is gambling. This is online gambling that's being done. Of course, it's not really online gambling because by the people who are manipulating the system, but it should be regulated like gambling and made sure that people can't, abuse the system. But I guess there is, one little thing there that made this fine good. Actually, it was a good thing that they made this to be regulated as if it was a security, because they wouldn't have been able to go after that soldier for it. But are they only going to go after that soldier, or are they going to go after everybody else who has used this information that they obtained by being part of this administration to enrich themselves? I mean, they can't go after Trump because you can't go after Trump without impeaching him. But anybody else, look, if it's shown that Donald Trump made money off of these speculation markets or whatever by taking actions and betting on what might happen, I guarantee you that the people in the House who are Republicans won't vote to impeach, and even if they manage to take back the House in this upcoming fall, the people in the Senate who are Republicans who are still there wouldn't vote to convict on the articles of impeachment, because they're all just going to kiss his orange ass and make sure that they can have their gravy train and make their money too. Let's see. I think that was Polymarket. It could have been a similar, not non-gambling site. Right, exactly. I mean, it was either Polymarket or the other. I don't know. But again, so my point stands is that they should be treated as gambling if they're, but fine. They should be regulated as both. If you want to do it that way, they should be regulated as both, as gambling and as a security.
It's been charged in the many, many, many trades over the Middle East wars. So Secretary Hegseth, do you have any explanation for these perfectly timed spikes in trading activity other than insider trading?
I have no recollection, Senator, or whatever.
Senator, all I can tell you is that everything we've done in our department, everything we've done with information, in working with the White House and across the interagency has been completely above board.
Except for all the things on Signal or the other Telegram or whatever it is that you frickin' use. I think it was Signal, you know, putting your information, including media people, on, you know, supposedly confidential text chains or whatever about, you know, our military actions. You know, that wasn't necessarily above board. You know, y'all like to use, you know, all sorts of means of communication that is not technically allowed by the law because you don't care about the law. So you'll forgive me if I don't believe the Secretary of Death.
Well, so what does it mean? Do you have any other explanation other than insider trading? Do you have a story for why?
A story.
Just minutes before there's an announcement, there's a surge in trading activity?
Senator, I'm more than focused on doing my job and ensuring we execute properly, which thankfully under this...
When they say execute properly, they don't mean like, you know, actually do the job. They mean actually unalive people, right?
Administration, our troops have done incredible things in all these missions. My job in all of those moments is to make sure we're prepared. And that's part of the reason why we've been so
be prepared. Sorry.
Successful in these raids, in these efforts, is that this joint force is prepared.
You're saying you're not paying any attention to this insider trading. Is that what you're telling me? That you've paid no attention to this? You haven't noticed it? You haven't done anything about it?
You have to set no policies up for the people on your staff to say that you will be fired if you are found abusing the information that you get that's classified to be able to enrich yourselves. Are you going to do that, or are you going to say it's not my problem?
What I'm saying is we're focused on our mission of executing for the American people, and what happens in markets is not, in betting markets is not something we're involved in.
Okay, at least he says betting markets, which basically says this is what they should be treated as gambling and as a security, but fine, you know. But still, he doesn't give a shit because he's more than happy. It's like, as long as it doesn't hurt his ability to execute people, he's not gonna care if his people can make a couple shekels.
Happens in betting markets doesn't matter.
5 eggs. My Gmail is liberaldanradio@gmail.com, and we have maybe about 3 more minutes of this video left, and I'll go ahead and open up the call in a little bit for a few minutes before we go talk about Louisiana versus Callais.
To you, even if the information may be coming from insiders in your office?
The phone call is coming from inside the Pentagon.
Senator, it's not something we're involved in.
Senator, this is not something I'm involved in.
At all. And of course, we take operational security at every level very seriously. In fact, no.
Operational security is very, 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 very secure, very, very special, except, you know, when you do things on Signal, or, you know, when one of your troops bets that Maduro is going to be removed from power and makes a whole butt ton of money off of it. Right?
No one's taken operational security more seriously than us. If you look at what it
Signal
required to keep secret Midnight Hammer and Operation
Signal
Maduro, the absolute
what was that? What was that, Secretary?
With Maduro and the
Signal
steps we've taken. No one's been tighter about ensuring that Operation.
No one's been tighter. The only people that are tighter are the people that I paid during the Epstein thing because, you know, for reasons I can't really say on any of these sites or else I'll get taken down.
Security
Any steps
is
to
ensured.
deal with insider trading out of your office?
I mean, we would ensure at every level that inside information
I
is
take that as a no.
properly safeguarded.
All right. Well, obviously
Signal.
you're not. I'm also concerned about recent reporting on your own financial dealings with regard to profiting from the war in Iran. The Financial Times reported that your broker tried to buy hundreds of shares in a BlackRock fund invested in defense companies just before the war began. The law clearly prohibits the Secretary of
That
Defense.
entire story is false, has been.
It's fake news. My Secretary of War would never do such a thing. He was above board the entire time.
From the beginning and was made up out of whole cloth. And anybody that looks at it sees how it was worded from the beginning to make it look like I was involved in something I had nothing to do and never have. So any insinuation that I've ever profited other than serving this nation, what I give, what you give, what others give, I'm not looking for money. I don't do it for money. I don't do it.
The only prophet is Donald Trump, who is a prophet of God. I mean, I don't do a Hegseth impression. Sorry. Leave that to Colin Jost.
Do it for profit. I don't do it for stocks. And that's part of the reason why I'm able to be effective in this job.
Effective.
No one owns me. No one owns this department.
Donald Trump owns you completely and wholeheartedly.
No one
I don't know if Donald Trump can own anything wholeheartedly because that would require him to have a heart, which he doesn't have.
Owns this president, and we can execute for the American people, and we do.
The law clearly
Yeah, execute for the American people. Again, he's using it the other way.
prohibits the Secretary of Defense from owning stock in the 10 biggest defense contractors. Other senators and I sent you a letter with detailed questions.
The senators, they sent you a letter. Sorry.
About this, and you have not given us a response. So I'd like to hear you say, did you, through your broker at Morgan Stanley or otherwise, seek to invest in any defense-related funds right before Trump started the Iran
He's going to say, I followed the law.
On war?
I'll give it to you as a big, fat negative.
Then let me...
Oh, wow. Okay. At least he didn't say, I followed the law. Now, of course, he's under oath, isn't he? So if it's found that he did do that, then he'd be lying under oath, and then they could haul him away for contempt of Congress. Of course, that would require the Justice Department to take action. And of course, since because the Justice Department, controls the marshals, and the Justice Department won't do it because, again, even though the former AG said,
no one is above the law in this country.
What was that?
No one is above the law in this country.
Except for everybody in administration.
Ask you a second question. Is your broker getting your personal sign-off on any investment in individual stocks?
Bigger, fatter, negative.
He's not getting your sign-off before he makes investments in defense stocks? Can I refer you to your
I'm not
ethics
making investments,
agreement?
Senator.
I am asking, does he know that he has to get your sign-off before he does that?
Of course.
The
I
time
don't know what
of
you're
the
looking for, but you ain't
senator
going to
has
find
expired.
it.
Yeah, I hope, I can only hope that they're able to find some piece of information that shows him being a lying sack of you-know-what as it pertains to this or whatever. But let's go ahead. We will shut this off for a second. And we will, hold on, let me bring this up as well. 5 eggs if you're still here. This is on, unfortunately. Actually, we have to do a couple of things before we show that, because now that we're 2 different places, we have to mute the audio so that you don't hear the phone ringing, and then we can bring up the call-in number, which is 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. If you want to call in, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from life, that's right, you can feel free to do so. 5 eggs, go right ahead and give us a call first because you had requested it, and I always want to give the audience what they want, right? So we're going to open up the phone lines first. We'll let you call in. If Big Hook is here, we'll do 5-10 minutes of calls. If you also want to call in, leave comments in either chat, either on YouTube or Twitch or TikTok, and let you know that I want to call in. Jeff, I don't know, Jeff, can you call in? Because every time you try, supposedly it's blocked. So, but again, 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261 if you do want to call in. So, and again, the rules are if somebody is already on the phone and I've neglected to turn off the phone thing on YouTube and Twitch, just don't call in when somebody else is on the phone. Otherwise, it is what it is, right? Let's go ahead and move this around a little bit more just so I can, handle this and see this and do whatever it is that we need to do as it pertains to the phone calls for the show. 5 eggs. What? Didn't you say you wanted to call in, 5 eggs? I thought you said you wanted to call in. So, can't wait for this Twitch thing to the TikTok thing to be done so I can actually, you know, be able to connect in with whatever. Wonder if it'll help if I actually stop going live and then go live again. Let's try that. On TikTok, we're going to stop going live and we're going to go live yet again. So if you're on TikTok, we'll be back in a second. End live. As we're still waiting for Liberal Dan Radio callers. Let's go ahead and turn that off, and let's go ahead and go live again. Let's see. We're still not. That's still weird that, you know. And then. And then no. And what else do we want to do? That. Why are we not? We should be there. Oh, camera's not set. Why is the camera not set? That's freaking weird. Camera. For some reason it's not working as well. So let's go ahead and we may need to close this completely and then confirm. And then we will go back. Again, we're still waiting for the calls. 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. Some reason, oh, it's just still wanting to add a camera. I don't know what the hell's going on because I can't see a camera in again. So I don't know. Ah, it closed this time, so let's try and open it back up again. Let's try it again one more time. And if nobody calls in the next 2 minutes or so, we're going to go back to the next topic and we'll reopen up the phone lines later. So, I'm bringing back open TikTok Live Studio. Kimchi, I was today years old, 2 days from 60. What, you're 2 days old from 60? Holy crap. When I realized that shortbread I was consuming was just Nilla wafers with jam in the middle, I paid for fancy white thumbprint cookies. Nice. Let's see. Let's again. For some reason, I'm not showing the frickin' camera. Why is it not showing up the camera? Oh, there we go. We got a call. Hey, Christine. Thank you for calling. Good to hear from you. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Even better since you've called in. What's going on tonight?
Well, A, I was just checking your phone line, and B, I got my ballot in the mail today, so blue all up and down.
Very nice to hear. Very good to hear. Again, let's turn off the, hold on, let's turn off the phone. Again, if we already have somebody on the phone, you can't call in when somebody else is on the phone, otherwise we're going to just hear the beep beep. So let Christine have her say, and then we'll deal with it from that point. Let's see.
Nope, I was going to keep it short and sweet.
Okay,
love your show, and just kind of testing things. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Christine. You have a great one as well. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Now, if you want to call in, you can call in again. 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. And we'll get your call in. Richard Canvessa, I heard Trump is big and fat. Again, we don't fat shame here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. We don't support that idea. We can have plenty of things to criticize Trump for, not his body size or body shape. Why is this not working right? I don't understand. I do not understand. Let's see. We do it this way. As we're waiting for somebody else to call in. Again, if you do want to call in, please call in. this TikTok live studio is not very good. It's not very intuitive, so to speak. So, but we're gonna try and get a second stream in if we can. There we go. Look at that. And we're there. Do we have the camera? Nope. Oh, wait. That integrated camera. That's there. And we have the goal. We have that. So let's go ahead and put that down there while we're waiting for somebody else to call. I don't know. 5 Eggs said he wanted to call in, but not calling in yet. So let's add another scene. General. Add. Let's delete that. And then again, we're going to add the camera as well. Integrated camera. Apply. And then we can also add a source, window capture. I don't think we need the window capture anymore, but let's see. It's not the calls that we want open. We want that one. Add source. And let's close. Oh, there we go. There's that. That, but we're going to go back to the scenes and come back here. Again, we're going to see if we can go live yet. Oh, for some reason that's still not coming up. It's so weird. So Big Hook, if you want to call in, go ahead and call in, because it doesn't look like 5 Eggs is calling in again. I don't know. Again, 562-LibDen1, 562-LibDen1, 562-542-3261. This app is terrible. This app is absolutely terrible. For some reason, I don't like body shaming either, but I don't like when Trump body shames either Christie or Pritzker, those who live in glass houses. Yeah, look, we are all for, we support the idea of criticizing Donald Trump on his hypocrisy. If Donald Trump, somebody who has a larger size body, wants to go ahead and mock other people for their body shape and body size or whatever, by all means, you can absolutely mock and ridicule him for that, for the pot calling the kettle black or what have you. That being said, we're not going to flat out, size shame him or whatever. I guess the only thing maybe we might skirt that line on is in the song, because she didn't gag because he was much shorter. But, it is what it is. There's Big Hook. Let's go ahead and stop it. There we go. Answer. Hey, Big Hook, what's going on? Good to hear from you. We're going to keep this somewhat short because we do want to get back to the topics, but glad to hear from you.
No worries, no worries.
How's your day going? How's your leg going?
Well, no one's pulling it at the moment, but that's okay. Yeah, it's frustrating watching everything as Trump turns the world upside down and basically shakes it, hoping for money to roll out.
Man, I made that joke back in like 2016 when he was running for office the first time, that Donald Trump was going to turn everything upside down to try and shake all the loose change out. So, yeah.
Well, I don't think I was.
you were not listening
available.
to me, but brilliant minds think alike, right?
Well, yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, it's sort of funny. I called into the suffragettes there, and I was making a thing about how maggots basically think make America great again, and how they seem to assimilate it to the 50s. But the thing that they seem to forget is that in the 50s, government agencies were working, rules were followed, anti-monopoly, you know what I'm talking about. Right. Laws were on the books and were being enforced. And as a result, there wasn't huge corporations running the whole show and eating up all the little businesses and whatnot. And as a result, communities could thrive. And it also meant that, the rich were being taxed at 90% and the corporations at 85%. And as a result, there was money for building roads, hospitals, and all the community infrastructure. And hospitals were profit free, right? I mean, that's the thing. They weren't. They were nonprofits, you know, and there was a lot more.
And insurance was mutual
that were,
companies as well, so you could, you know, only 5% of the costs were basically used for things like, you know, overhead and, you know, payroll and whatever, and then they changed that to be more than 20 once they went to a private model. So
yeah, but this is the thing that I find with the Republicans. They all go, oh, they're always screaming, "Oh, I need a tax break," and it's like, your tax break doesn't amount to anything, because the thing is that it'll be eaten up by the cost of inflation and the increase in the cost of living, you know, and that's the thing. They gave up all the nice things that were within the system, and you know, they have that old excuse, which I find really ridiculous, which is that, oh, you know, people are going to take advantage of the government. They're just sucking off the government's tit. And it's like, the government is supposed to do certain things for you. You know, it's supposed to provide the things that privatization does so poorly, you know, and I mean, that's just it, you know. You don't want to be riding on toll roads all the time and constantly having to shell out money and stop and do this and do that, you know, that sort of thing. And it's frustrating, because the thing is that they don't understand as well that with lower taxes, it means, yes, you might get $600 that'll be eaten up by inflation, but the millionaires and the billionaires will get millions and billions of money in tax breaks. And that's just it. They don't see the stupidity of the argument. Right. And they don't seem capable of making the connection. And it's frustrating, because they go, oh, make America great again. And it's like, yeah, it was great again when the rich and the corporations were paying the taxes that allowed everybody to, you know, be able to afford a home, to send your kids to college, to, you know, that's the thing. If you want America to go back, you have to put in the FDR tax rates, because otherwise you're already what, almost $40 trillion in debt, and the GDP is only basically eating up or contributing $31 trillion. So you're already at a $9 trillion deficit every single year. So, you know.
The only problem I raise with that is that for some of that, you know, what the tax rate, you also have to take into consideration what was taxable income. So, for example, back when the tax rate was like 95% or whatever for the upper echelon or whatever, you could write off every interest payment. Now, that's still going to mean that you're probably still paying more in taxes and funding more of what's going on. But you do have to take into consideration what is taxable income versus what is not taxable income, right?
Okay, but here's the problem, okay? These people they hide their wealth by putting it all into stock. And here's the thing. They go to the bank and they borrow against the stock. And because you can't tax debt, they don't pay any fucking taxes.
Right.
So they list their income as zero, and, you know, and they pay 1% interest on a loan that they'll never pay back, because it's based on the stock, which then accumulates in growth as well as value. And, you know, it's the bait and switch.
Right. Well, absolutely. We should absolutely be taxing any stock benefits that you get as taxable income, which should then require you to get some sort of salary to at least pay off the value of the share value that you've gotten as a stock as a benefit. So they should be taxed the exact same way as all other income is taxed. They won't do that unless you have a complete upping of everybody in government to make sure you can elect people who will do just that. But of course, you will never see that from the MAGA Republicans, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you went to the FDR rate, the thing is that you could afford universal health care. You could afford to do all the things that improve everyone's lives, you know? You could afford to fund to make public housing available. You could afford to fund the EPA and everything else. And this is just it. It's, you know, as I like to say, it's stupidity on steroids with the Republicans, because they fall for the billionaire and millionaire lies and think, oh, but I'm going to be one of them one day. And it's like, it'll never fucking happen. They won't let you. And that's just it. You know, as I was saying earlier today, the thing is stupid people don't realize that they're stupid. And that's just it. You can't help these people, unfortunately. The only thing you can do is vote and hope that they catch on that, oh, gee, life is better under Democrats governing the country, you know, and that's the thing. You know,
but then they have selective amnesia, though. They'll see just how good, you know, things are, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, well, life might be better, but, you know, we're being nice to the gay people, and we're being nice to trans people under Democrats, and we don't want to do that because we're a bunch of hateful shits. So that's why they vote for the idiots and vote against their best interests, because they want to be hateful shits towards LGBTQA folks and towards minorities and to everybody else, right? So...
Well, that's just it. You know, I mean, like I said, you can't help these people. They're stupid. They can't see the error of their ways, and they just, you know, they fall into the sunken cost fallacy where they're like, I'm so invested in the Republicans. My parents did it, and they lost everything, and I'm going to lose everything too because I'm going to vote for Republicans as well. You know, and that's just it. I don't get it. I really don't. I feel sorry for them that they're so stupid that they don't see this stuff, that they cannot critically think. And, you know, that's criminal in itself, that these people, you know, that Fox News and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck are out there spreading these lies, as well as, you know, and then the church is grifting off of them as well and saying, oh, you just have to believe. You know, it's like belief doesn't mean anything unless you see results. And that's the thing. You never see results. You know, these evangelical churches, they are to keep the pastors rich. You know, it's not about improving your community. It's not about, you know, helping the poor and the sick and you know, impregnated teenage girls. It's never about that sort of stuff, you know, and that's the thing. It's so much bullshit.
Right. Just anyway. Real breaking, as somebody else talked earlier today, we were talking about the Maine Senate race. Janet Mills has dropped out of the race, leaving Graham Plattner as being the one running.
Yeah, but the thing is Plattner is actually being misconstrued. He had that one tattoo, but that was a youthful indiscretion, and that's the thing. There's a really great interview with Jon Stewart from last night.
I have to disagree with that just a little bit, simply because the fact that if it was youthful indiscretion, he should have said that immediately instead of trying to backtrack on it. No, look, you know, if he really is the horrible person that some people think he is, better the shitty person we know than the shitty person we don't. Better, you know, better to have a shitty person who's going to support overthrowing, you know, Trump's policy and Trump's agenda than having somebody who's going to be an idiot like Susan Collins and, you know, oh, I didn't realize that things were going to be like that. Should have had a V8 or whatever. So look, if it's between Collins and Plattner, absolutely support Plattner. But I have issues with the way that he initially responded to the tattoo issue. So.
Okay, but here's the thing, okay? Watch the Jon Stewart interview and see where you stand after that, because he came out as very genuine. He said things that were totally out of the character you would believe if you listen to all the detractors who, you know, badmouth him. And the thing is that he's coming across as more of like a Bernie bro than a corporate Democrat. And that's the thing, you know. He's been through the system. He went and he served in the war. Like I said, the war was basically he got trapped in a useful indiscretion and did that thing there just for the brotherhood of being in the Marines, you know, the same bullshit that Hegseth fell for. But
problem is though, is that sometimes, I mean, Bernie's supporters versus Bernie bro, the Bernie bros are some of the problems. Like the people who are like those 12 to 15% of the Bernie Sanders primary voters who then in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, who then voted for Trump. So Bernie bros aren't necessarily the best thing. Like I would have supported Bernie Sanders in the general election had he made the runoff, but you know, he shot himself in the foot by ignoring like 12 southern states. But
okay, but here's the thing, okay? You can either, I get it. The Dems don't like Bernie, okay, because he doesn't declare himself as one of them. He declares himself as an independent. But the thing is that
I need to interrupt you there. I need to interrupt real quick because the Democrats have supported Bernie. Like the Democrats convinced a Democratic candidate for Vermont Senate to drop out so that Bernie Sanders would be the only one being challenged by the Republican and as such helping Bernie Sanders win. So, I mean, he caucuses with the Democratic Party. Yeah, there are people who are ridiculous about Bernie Sanders on, you know, who are, you know, the mainstream of the Democratic Party. And I want everybody as far left as possible. I'm just talking about the bros themselves, the ones who are like Bernie or bust, and then, you know, who are willing to burn down the system because, like, B-U-R-N, because they couldn't get Bern, B-E-R-N, in the office. And those people are just as bad, if not worse, as the MAGA folks, because they're like, oh, both sides are the same man, and that it's problematic because...
Yeah, but how much of that is Russian bots online that are basically trying to create a system? Because let's face it, the Russians did not want Hillary to win either, and that's just it. So as a result, the question is always now, where is the division in the party coming from? And right, I mean, this is the thing. The Bernie bros is, you know, so generalized, and the question is, where is all the propaganda coming from? And the more you look, the more you see a lot of it is coming overseas from Russia through the bots and whatnot. So, I mean,
you can't discount that, but I know several people personally who during the 2016 campaign were they were so offended and so upset about the fact that at the time, I was registered no party at the time because I had left the Louisiana Democratic Party because they endorsed unrepentant convicted felon Edwin Edwards for the Congress, and I said that I would do that if they did that. But I said it didn't really matter because the Louisiana primaries don't matter because we're so late in the system that the Democratic nominee is usually already picked by then, and I was going to vote for whichever Democrat came out of the primaries because guess what? Whoever came out of the primaries, either Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton, was going to be miles better than Donald Trump. And they just couldn't stand the fact that I was willing to be pragmatic about this shit. Well, we'll just go register for the Democratic Party again so you can support Bernie Sanders. I'm like, it doesn't matter because our votes don't have a say because we're in Louisiana and it's not going to matter anyway. And Bernie is already ignoring the South regardless, so Hillary Clinton's going to sweep the South because he didn't go to campaign in the South, so he's not going to win Louisiana anyway because he just completely went on his back and said, rub my belly, and just gave up for the South because he's called the Democrats voting in the Democratic Party's conservative, which pissed off a whole bunch of black voters who make up a large chunk of the voters in the South, and as such, or the Democratic voters in the South, and as such, he ended up alienating a whole shit ton of people, and he made the same mistake again in 2020. So, I mean, he made some unforced errors. Now, when the Democratic Party, Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Donna Brazile, when they did their bullshit, I was critical of them too because of how they treated Sanders in the primary and, giving Hillary Clinton answers. I think that was Donna Brazile that did that, and also punishing Bernie Sanders' campaign for letting the people know who were in charge of the voting list that they somehow got access because of a flag that was set to Hillary Clinton's voting list. And when they said, hey, look, there's an issue here, we're seeing data we shouldn't be seeing, they punished the Sanders campaign for doing it. So, I mean, I was very critical of the Democratic Party then too, but that wasn't what caused Bernie Sanders to lose. What caused Bernie Sanders to lose was his own unforced errors as it pertained to doing that. That being said, my issue when I talk about the Bernie bros. I'm not talking about all Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm talking about those 12 to 15% of the people who voted, in the primary for Bernie Sanders, and then who flipped Trump because they were more concerned with, her emails, or they bought the whole lie that Donald Trump was an actual populist, and they decided that they were going to, screw the Democratic Party because they wouldn't support their guy, and instead screw over a whole bunch of people in this country, like all of the people who, Roe versus Wade was protecting, instead of actually, because to them it was more important to stick it to the Democratic Party than it was to whatever. And even if those people would have just simply voted for Jill Stein in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, the numbers showed that Hillary Clinton would have won. So voting for Jill Stein wouldn't have hurt, but they went ahead and voted for Trump. So though when I talk about Bernie bros, those are the type of people that I'm talking about. The hyper-privileged assholes who are more than willing to ship this country down the river instead of actually, voting for a candidate who is going to have the good of the American people in mind and not the good of Donald Trump's bottom line, and not willing to cut off their noses to spite their damn faces. Anyway, sorry, I had to rant about that.
No worries. But the thing is within the population, there's always going to be useful idiots. The libertarians are a perfect example of that. They don't fix things. They just like to complain about things and do absolutely nothing, right? Rand Paul in Kentucky is one of those. He does nothing. He constantly complains. He's always the one voting no against absolutely everything because it draws attention to him. And, and people are like, oh, yeah, he's an asshole, but he's our asshole. That sort of bullshit. But anyway, I just look at watch the interview with Jon Stewart and see if you sense any deception or whatnot. I thought it was fairly refreshing, and something that he might be somebody that is going to be in our politics fairly soon, and he could be one of those flipped Senate seats that are going to determine whether or not we get control of Trump and cut the purse strings and take the country back. So.
And at the end of the day, look, that's the thing. Like, if it's Planner versus Collins, absolutely Planner all the way. But I will absolutely go watch the Jon Stewart interview, but I'm not going to take it in a vacuum either. I'm going to make sure that, I take it within all of his other comments, because you should never take any politician what they say in a vacuum. You should look at the entirety of their political career or their political statements and be able to say, okay, look at the whole story and not just one particular well-honed interview that might have done a good job of trying to alleviate some people's worries while also, having other people still having legitimate questions. But again, at the end of the day, if it's Planner versus, Collins, again, absolutely Planner. But anyway, thank you so much, Big Hook, for calling. I appreciate you as always.
Thanks, Dan, and give Cassie my best.
All right, will do. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Big Hook, everybody. We're going to shut down the phone lines at this point, simply because of the fact that we do have another issue to talk about before we end the show for today, which is, going to be a little bit longer. And normally we don't take calls first, but some people wanted to call in, so that's fine. We'll have calls being part of what gets clipped and shared to social media, right? Anyway, let's go ahead and turn this back on, and let's go find this information, because we are talking about Louisiana versus Callais and what has happened since the ruling came down yesterday, just over 24 hours ago, when the Supreme Court made their dumbass decision to go ahead and say, oh, well, even though Gingrich says you're not allowed to water down votes of the minority folks as long as they pass the test, and, Gingrich said that it doesn't matter what the intent is, what matters is the effect. And even though the Milliken ruling said that Alabama did just that by districting a certain way, they made sure they watered down the vote of African-American black voters or whatever in the state of Alabama. And that's what not only the federal judge said that caused them to overturn Louisiana's rules, the most conservative appeals court in the country, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, basically said, hit the wrong button there. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals agreed with the lower court ruling and saying that Louisiana violated Gingles and Milligan as when it, made its districts in such a way that made the voters of Louisiana who are black have much less power than they were supposed to have, because they should have had double the power, because it was 1/6 of the voters should have been 1/3 of the representation in Congress. And then this activist conservative Supreme Court again decided to just overturn that and say, oh, well, while Gingles and Milligan might still be the law of the land, we're going to tightly restrict it so that even though you can't discriminate on race, but it just makes it much harder now for people to prove that the states are discriminating based on race, because it takes away the whole Gingles thing that only requires the effect and not the intent. So anyway, so after this was done, after the 6-3 decision, which again showed that John Roberts and Kavanaugh are apparently drunk during this ruling phase. Now, I can't explain Roberts. I can explain Kavanaugh because, again, he loves beer. We all heard about how much he loves beer. That being said, Louisiana has elections. Louisiana changed how elections work. Used to be we had open primaries for everything. They got rid of open primaries for certain things, and they closed the primaries for things like the Senate and the House, and some other districts as well. They've also made it, we've talked about this on the show before as well, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you can access the ballot by paying a fee. You can also get signatures, but you can access the ballot by paying a fee. Everybody else, which I was going to actually do before all of the shit hit the fan at the beginning of this year, I was going to, and I lost my job and found a new one or whatever quickly, but still, I was not focusing on trying to do shenanigans with running for office while running as a no-party person, trying to get signatures, basically being able to make the argument, you're not allowing me to pay a fee like you're allowing the Democrats and Republicans to pay a fee. As such, we're not getting equal protection under the law. So, a friend of mine is suing the state of Louisiana over just that. But now that we had this ruling that has said that the 6th congressional district was illegally, drafted because it was drafted based on race, they were effectively able to go to the Supreme Court and now say, look, even though you can't discriminate on race when you're drawing districts, you can't use race to fix the problem. So now that the districts are all screwy, the governor of Louisiana has basically come out and said that we are going to move our congressional closed primaries back to like June or July. We're going to move it's July. They're going to move the closed primaries for the House of Representative seats to give the legislature the opportunity to redraw the maps in such a way. Now, how are they going to redraw the maps? They're going to redraw the maps in such a way that eliminates Cleo Fields' district and makes the district more Republican friendly. My concern here is not only are they going to do that, they could very well, under the new ruling that comes from Louisiana Vs Callais, and say, we're going to redraw all the districts in such a way to make it so that there's no representation of black people in Congress. And then they're going to use the justification of, oh, we didn't use race to make our decisions. We used something else. Like they basically might say, oh, we're using the political party that these people belong to on redistricting to try and make it 6 Republican and 0 Democratic seats. Now, it is my opinion here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, that all representation should be proportional. If you're a Republican in California and you make up 30% of the vote, California should have 30% of the say in Congress. If you're in Virginia and you're a Republican and you make up 50% of the vote, the legislature should be, or the congressional representation should be 50% Republican. Same thing. The Democrats in Louisiana, we have a third of our state that is clearly on the left. And then you also have another seat that could be, maybe centrist Democrat. Because again, John Bel Edwards was governor of Louisiana for 8 years, which means there are enough people in Louisiana to support a conservative Democrat for public office. So in reality, you should have 2 seats belonging to, dyed-in-the-wool, Democrats, who are a liberal, leftist, or whatever, and then you should have another seat that could be won by a more centrist Democrat, or a more conservative type Democrat. And we would solve all of this problem if we moved to electing slates of candidates and just eliminated congressional districts altogether, and then take away the ability of the legislature to draw the maps to pick their voters, and instead allow the voters to pick their representatives in a proportional way. And that's what we support here in Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right. But now, I mean, that's a moot point at this point because that's not going to happen. You're probably going to require a constitutional amendment to do just that, to eliminate the ability of anybody to gerrymander and to actually have proper apportionment, which would mean increasing the number of seats in the House to make sure that, you know, California, for example, gets more seats comparatively to the smallest population state. But again, we're getting a little bit off track here because what we're talking about is what happened with Louisiana versus Calais and the after result. So Saturday is supposed to be the start of early voting for these congressional races for both the House and the Senate. Now, what they've done is, again, they've maintained the early voting and the whole May 16th date to vote on the Senate races and some other races that are going on at that time, but they're pushing back the congressional races to July, which is going to make it even harder, I think, for the Democrats to challenge, to get up a person, or for people to come out and vote, like people like myself who are I'm still registered, no party. I can go register, I can go vote in the Republican primary if I want to. I'm going to vote for the Democrat in November. Absolutely, I will vote for the Democrat in November. But if I can screw around with the primaries and vote to support the worst Republican of the three to make it so that the Democratic candidate has an easier time winning, I will do just that. Now, there are Democrats in Louisiana who seem to think that the best person to vote for would be Cassidy, the current senator, the incumbent senator. I disagree, because I think that at the end of the day, there are MAGA folks who hate Bill Cassidy with a passion. They do not like that he voted to actually convict on the articles of impeachment as it pertained to that. And that's why Trump endorsed Julia Letlow and not Bill Cassidy. But so they think that it would be best to have Cassidy in there. But to me, I think the MAGA folks at the end of the day will still come out and vote for the Republican in the fall, because A, they're going to want to vote for their congressperson, and they're not going to vote for the Democrat. And they're highly likely going to cast a ballot that's going to make it easier for the Democrat to win, so they're still going to vote for Cassidy regardless. I guarantee you that Jeff Carrere, if somehow, some way, they keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day, and then if somehow, some way that Cassidy manages to survive, make it to the runoff, and then win the Republican primary runoff that's taking place June 27th, they will still absolutely come out and vote for Cassidy instead of voting for the Democrat. But again, you don't get to vote for the House races at this point. There are people right now that are actually trying to sue the state of Louisiana to prevent them from taking the people off the ballot. Why? Because, you have people who have already cast early ballots. They've already casted their mail-in ballots. The mail-in ballots, they're so fraudulent, they're so rife with fraud. We don't like the mail-in ballots, even though I do them anyway. I'll vote by mail because I'm away, I have to, but nobody else can do it except for the people I want to. So there are already people who have sent in their mail-in ballots. And the elections, they will still have the congressional people on the ballot, and the Secretary of State, Liz Murrill, has said, no, Liz Murrill is the AG? Secretary of State has said that they will not count any of those House votes. So if you cast a legal ballot for Congress this upcoming Saturday or afterwards, your vote will not be counted. And the people who took the time, like the people serving in the military who sent in their mail-in ballots, if you send in a mail-in ballot that includes these congressional races, your votes aren't going to count. And you're going to have to send in another mail-in ballot for your congressional race. Now, I understand that, if they're going to redraw the lines for the 2026 elections, I understand that you would end up having people voting in elections that they can't vote in anymore because, guess what? They've now been redrawn into a different district. But maybe you should save that for the 2028 election if you're actually going to redraw the maps and not do it in such a rushed, hurried way. But they're going to try and shove and ram this down our throats with these new districts. And again, my bold prediction here, which I don't think is that bold, is not only are they going to try and eliminate the 6th congressional district, they're going to try and eliminate the 2nd congressional district as well, and try to make it so that Troy Carter, my congressional representative, goes away as well. And they're going to redraw the lines in such a way so they get 6 Republican seats and no Democratic seats. Because that's what they're going to do. Because they're going to make sure that we don't have enough that the Democrats in the state and that the black voters in the state have zero say. But as long as they follow the rules of Louisiana versus Calais, and you can't point to them and say, oh, it was done for racial reasons. If they follow, oh, it was done for political reasons, then the Supreme Court's going to be like, it's a fine map, and now we're going to have zero representation of black people in Congress. Zero representation of Democrats in Congress. Now, of course, it could always backfire on them, because what we're hoping happens in the fall in states like Texas, what we're hoping happens in the fall in states like Florida, that if they do manage to redraw those maps as well, that they're going to water down the Republican power so much in those districts that it'll make it easier for, especially this year, when Republicans are doing shit-tastically horrible, especially those endorsed by Trump, when these Republicans are doing that bad that they've lost, you know, any sort of lead that they had in some of these districts, that if you make the districts more weak, it might make it more difficult. So maybe the end result, if the Republicans are stupid enough and redraw the maps in such a dumb way, maybe the Democrats can actually get 3 seats in Louisiana. Who knows? It's very hard to tell. But are they going to reopen qualifying for the House seats? I mean, you have to. I mean, technically, you do not have to live in the district that you represent. Technically, you could still run. Like if they drew Cleo Fields out of the district, of the 6th congressional district, and maybe drew him into the 1st congressional district, if they did that, then guess what? He could still run and he could still support, because there's nothing in the law that requires somebody who represents the district to live in that district. But they should still, you'd think they would reopen qualifying again to allow people to run in a district that they want to run in, that they're going to be living in, instead of representing a district that they don't live in. So we're having this bizarre this bizarre thing that's going to happen in the state of Louisiana, that's going to basically have one set of primary elections for the Senate and another set of primary elections for the House. And then you get to November and everybody's going to be voting on those things. So again, regardless of what shenanigans I try and pull in this primary season, when it comes to, the Democrat running for the 2nd congressional district, assuming I'm still in the 2nd congressional district, or the Republicans running, I will vote for the Democrat running for the House, I will vote for the Democrat running in the Senate. Absolutely, the only time I ever did that was once when it had Dollar Bill Jefferson, the crook who had not yet been convicted yet, and I voted for the Green Party candidate because there was no way I was voting for that crook. And then for 2 years, we ended up having Joseph Gow as the person who represented us. And of course, Joseph Gow, in one of the town halls about the Affordable Care Act, told me, "You are much, much smarter than I am." And he's currently on the Bessie board as an appointee, and he's running for the Bessie board now. So we'll get to talk about Joseph Gow and get to play my favorite clip from Joseph Gow, which is, "You are much, much smarter than I am." But anyway, thank you for recognizing the Snoop line. Appreciate you. But let's see. Jolie is a liberal Danimal for 28 months over on YouTube. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Jolie. Love you. So again, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Louisiana suspended its congressional primaries Thursday as early voting was about to get underway. Pressure mounted on Republican officials in other states to redraw their U.S. House maps in light of the Supreme Court ruling that significantly weakened the Voting Rights Act. Early voting had been scheduled to begin Saturday for Louisiana's May 16th primaries, but Governor Landry issued an executive order postponing the House primaries in response to the ruling Wednesday by the court that struck down majority black congressional districts. Landry said in his Cajun accent, I'm sure, allowing elections to proceed under an unconstitutional map would undermine the integrity of our system and violate the rights of our voters. You undermine the integrity of the system by redrawing the maps in such a way and make the voters not have the say that they're supposed to have. Because again, Gingles is still a thing. You're not allowed to violate, and take away the voting power and dilute the voting power so much or eliminate the voting power of people by race. You just, again, but Gingles unfortunately has been altered in such a way by Calais that you can't enforce it. It makes the second part or section 2 of the Voting Rights Act almost toothless. The executive order ensures we uphold the rule of law while giving the legislature the time it needs to pass a fair and lawful congressional map. It may very well be lawful, but it sure as fuck ain't gonna be fair. The Republican-controlled Secretary of State's office, which declared an electoral emergency following allowing for Landry's order, said that it would post notices at early voting sites alerting the public about the suspended congressional primary. All other races on the ballot will proceed as scheduled. The governor's order postponed the congressional primary till July 15th or a date to be set by the legislature. The state's Republican House and Senate leaders said they're prepared to pass new congressional voting districts and set a new election date before the regular session ends in a month. And again, we will see what the map looks like. And if it comes to be true that there will be no seats for Democrats coming up with the new maps because of the way that they redraw them, you will have heard it here first that that's exactly what they're going to do. And I've said that. My concern with that has been said, and people have already said, "Oh no, Dan, you're wrong. That's not going to happen." Fuck off. Because guess what? I already predicted many things that these idiots would do. Like, for example, I predicted Donald Trump would get to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices during his first term. And guess what? He got to do just that. And when I said that he would get to name 3 Supreme Court justices, oh, that's not going to happen. That's crazy. Donald Trump might get to, in doing so, he'll get to overturn Roe v. Wade. Oh, Roe versus Wade is the law versus land. That's never going to happen. Yeah, fuck you. I was right. President Trump used his social media platform to praise Landry, who is also his special envoy to Greenland, for moving quickly to revise the state congressional districts. He also urged Republicans in Tennessee to do likewise in response to the Supreme Court's decision, because, again, we have a situation where the politicians get to choose their voters and not vice versa. And look, it's wrong everywhere, but the Republicans are doing it even more at the behest of Donald Trump, so the Democrats have to respond, or else the country's going to be fucked. Democrats say delay could cause confusion, while civil rights activists denounced potential for diminished minority representation in Congress. Top Republicans cited the Supreme Court's decision as justification to spur an already intense national redistricting battle. I think all states who have unconstitutional maps should look at them very carefully. I think they should do it before the midterm, says Mike Johnson to reporters on Wednesday. In Washington. On Thursday, a brief order from the 3-judge panel affirmed an earlier injunction barring the use of Louisiana's congressional map and gave the state time to create a new one that aligns with the Supreme Court's ruling. The election suspension in Louisiana was denounced by some Democrats, well, because it should be denounced by all Democrats, but the Democratic Party here in Louisiana is feckless and useless. This is going to cause mass confusion. Democrats, Republicans, white, black, everybody, said the Louisiana Senator Royce Duplessis, a Democrat who represents New Orleans. While what they're effectively doing is changing the rules of the game. In the middle of the game, it's rigging the system. Only rigged system is when I say it's rigged. It's not rigged if it's supporting me. It's supporting me. It's wonderful. It's legal. It's wonderful. And I love it. Delaying an election is unusual, but not unprecedented during COVID-19. Several states pushed back elections because of health concerns. John Bel Edwards, who led Louisiana at the time, postponed the state's April 4th presidential primary for 3 weeks before it was supposed to occur, then delayed it again until July 11th. Again, more states could jump on board. Also, from this other article from the Louisiana Illuminator, Republican Governor Jeff Landry again suspended the May 16th primary elections for the 6 House seats on Thursday, allowing elections to proceed again. This is again, what he said before. Absentee voting in the U.S. House races has already begun. Early voting was scheduled to start Saturday, but postponing elections allows Landry and the legislature to pass a new map. Again, the Supreme Court made its dumbass decision. Again, and will eliminate the Cleo Fields district and make it something that Republicans are more likely to like. Again, there are Republican, conservative, MAGA folks who don't like that they redrew the maps, but I'm like, they were just doing what they were told to do by the courts because the court said, hey, this is an illegal map. This is an illegal gerrymander. Nancy Landry, the Secretary of State, again, Murrell's the AG, Nancy Landry, no relation to Jeff Landry, I believe, has said that the U.S. House races will remain on voters' ballots, but any votes cast will not be counted, which reminds me of the whole toll thing. There was a vote on the tolls during the 2012 election, and the vote on the tolls over the Crescent City Connection, the bridge that connects the East Bank and the West Bank of New Orleans across the Mississippi River. They voted to whether or not to end the tolls. The tolls survived because people thought to themselves, oh, this is the best bridge in Louisiana. It's well maintained, so therefore we should keep the tolls and upkeep the maintenance. But then somebody sued because there were enough people who only got to cast provisional ballots. Provisional ballots only are dealt for federal elections, so those people didn't have the opportunity to vote if they cast a provisional ballot to vote on the bridge thing, and the vote was so so close that the number of people with provisional ballots was greater than the number of people who was greater than the difference between the two sides of that vote between the three parishes they got to vote on it to begin with. And again, if you don't live in Louisiana, parish means county. And the answer from the judge was not, hey, let's allow those people to cast their ballot if they want to do so. No, the answer was to throw away hundreds of thousands of legally cast ballots so that fewer than 1,000 people can have their say, when you could have done it completely differently and in a way that didn't disenfranchise me and many other people who won that day. And at the end of the day, if you would have counted their ballots and at the end of the day they would have actually, flipped the scales to the other side, I would have not have complained. But they threw away 300,000 legally cast ballots. So now they're going to be throwing away the legally cast ballots of all these people who voted by mail and anybody who votes for the congressional seats in these races as well. Lindsey Garcia, Democratic candidate for the 5th Congressional District, filed a lawsuit on Thursday in the Middle District Court of Louisiana asking for an emergency order blocking Landry's election suspension. Black plaintiffs from the 2022 congressional redistricting lawsuit, Robinson versus Ardoin, also have asked the Supreme Court to wait to issue its certified judgment until after the 2026 midterms and allow the current map to be used in the current cycle, which makes sense. Landry's order pushes the primary election to July 15th unless the legislature determines a new date. Assuming the elections remain suspended, the Louisiana legislature will have to revert to the old jungle primary election system for the House races, Senate President Cameron Henry from Remettery said in an interview. The state has been expected to use the new semi-closed partisan primary for these kind of. So again, not only are they changing the rules on when, not only are they changing the rules on the shape of the districts, they're changing the rules and opening it back to an open primary instead of a closed primary. And I'm wondering if they're going to now say everybody can now, if you want to jump in and join the jungle primary, you have more qualifying dates to do so. I guarantee you that's not going to happen. Maybe not guarantee, but I'm pretty confident to say that that's not going to happen. They're not going to reopen qualifying unless forced to do so by a court. So given the compressed timeline, the congressional elections will now likely be held at the jungle primary, where candidates of all parties run against each other initially. That system is both cheaper and less complicated to execute. And it also is better because a jungle primary allows you to vote for the whoever you want to, and then it allows for less extreme candidates to win, unless you draw the maps in such a way where it doesn't. But that's actually probably even a better situation for the Democrats. If the Democrats were smart in Louisiana, and they're not, but if the Democratic Party was smart in Louisiana, they would try and clear the fields. They would try and clear Cleo Fields as well, but for some reason these idiots are still supporting Cleo Fields, who has connections to corrupt former governor Louisiana's Edwin Edwards, the unrepentant convicted criminal. That being said, if the Democrats were smart, they would try and clear the field, make sure there was only one candidate in each race if these jungle primaries are actually what happened, to make it so that you have a runoff with one Democrat versus one Republican, and then work to make sure that perhaps the weakest of the Republicans make it, or maybe the most extreme of the Republican candidates make it to the primary with the Democrats, so that then you deal with the electoral issues that Trump-backed Republicans have been having, and maybe you have the chance to take more seats than you thought you might have been able to. But again, the Louisiana Democrat Party is feckless and weak and stupid, and I don't expect them to do anything in a smart way. Prove me wrong, Louisiana Democrats. Prove me wrong. Troy Carter, who is my congressional representative, faces a primary challenger and could be affected by both Supreme Court ruling and the governor's decision to move primary dates. He said the cancellation of the primaries will have a chilling effect on voters, such as veterans who have already cast their ballots. The governor and Attorney General Liz Muro argue moving the election is necessary because the court's ruling prohibits them from using the invalidated map. But again, if it's not officially certified, then it's not, and the Supreme Court could wait till afterwards, as it has been requested that they do. One national election expert said Louisiana isn't required to stop the elections because of the Supreme Court ruling. Michael Lee, senior counsel for the Brennan Center for Justice, disagreed with Murrell and Landry's legal assessment. They're a bunch of idiots, and the only probably elected official or governmental official who is a former attorney who is probably dumber than Landry is probably Alito, and that's saying a lot. Again, he disagrees with that. The Supreme Court's ruling Wednesday does not throw out Louisiana's existing districts for the current cycle. A previous Supreme Court decision, Purcell versus Gonzalez from 2006, prevents courts from ordering states to make major ballot changes too close to an election and would apply in this case, says the individual from the Brennan Center. At a press conference Wednesday, Murrell acknowledged the legal precedent set by Purcell, pointing out that the courts would be prohibited from ordering a state to do anything. The Purcell principle is the principle that says courts, particularly federal courts, should not be monkeying with state election dates when it's too close, but it doesn't stop the legislature from acting, so it's a restriction on the authority of the courts, not on the legislatures. Of course, they're going to find some loophole to be able to disenfranchise more Louisiana voters because that's what Republican folks like to do. The Republican Party supports the right to vote, but they don't support the left for voting. Right? Correct? Or whatever. So yeah, so this is the BS that has happened in the state of Louisiana since the Louisiana versus Callais ruling. And again, this will be a story that continues to evolve, and I'm sure we'll talk about this on Tuesday's show. Again, remember, we are having a special Tuesday episode of Liberal Dan Radio Talk from Left That's Right. Now look, I'm not going to say that there'll be no Monday show, but if there is a Monday show, it will be because something big happened that needs to be covered on the Monday and can't wait till the Tuesday. But again, I will remind everybody on social media, Liberal Dan Radio on here on YouTube. I'll remind people on Blue Sky and on Facebook. So follow me at all the social media places if you haven't already done so. And I will let the mods know for some, and remind Andrea that there will be no show, nor no scheduled show on Monday unless we decide to have one because of any big news that might happen. But again, we're going to do the show next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week, 8 p.m. Central. Let's see. Aaron says, I have to go to bed. I have to get my mama Donna to the hospital for surgery at 6 a.m. Good night. If you're still here, Aaron, I appreciate you. Love you. Have a great night. The Big Hook says, the devil went down to Georgia, but he traveled up from Louisiana. Anyway, tomorrow is May Day. LFG workers, absolutely. Let's see. Also, Ali Osher says, administration is proposing a rule that would remove Biden-era protection for supplemental security income recipients, allowing the value of a disabled adult's bedroom or household SNAP participation to be counted against their SSI payments, a change that could cut or eliminate benefits for hundreds of thousands of low-income disabled adults. Are we surprised? No, we're not, because they have to pay for their stupid war, and they have to, pay themselves, so they're going to screw over folks with disabilities, and they're going to screw over folks who don't have the money to support themselves by taking away more money away from them. They're going to say, oh, the economy's doing great, the economy's wonderful, look at the stock market. These people aren't stock market investors, so fuck off. Hey, Susie, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support on all of the whatever. Wait, you fell? I hope you're fine. I hope you're okay. Let's see. Christine, I'll check that out. I've been starting with Ugly Kid Joe lately. Neighbor and the Goddamn Devil. Metallica is a good start too. I use Pandora. Which one? I get sick when I'm around. I can't stand to be around. I hate everything about Trump. Everything about Trump. Anyway, so yes, I hope you are okay, Susie. Veterans are getting hurt, and we are going to create even more veterans under Hegseth. Exactly, more wounded and injured veterans, I'm sure, as well. And I'm sure they'll find a way to screw them over too, because they find a way to screw over everybody. So. I was not able to get TikTok back open. For some reason, the app was being effing stupid. Maybe I'll be able to do it again on Tuesday show and Wednesday show. And again, we are going to, there's going to be something very special Tuesday show. I might play it a second time afterwards. You do not want to miss it. It's great. I think it's great, at least. I think it's funny. I think y'all are going to get a kick out of it. And again, I appreciate everybody for watching the show. I appreciate everybody for hanging with me. I am going to end the show right now. And we'll end the show with some of your normal, regular music that we do like to play. Let's see. Susie, I stubbed my big toe, and that's what made me fall. And I thought you just fell for me. Oh, anyway, but I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling better. If you're not feeling well today, I hope you feel better soon. Skin your knee. Didn't take him up in the emergency room. I just got up and got in my chair. Again, I hope you're doing okay. Let's see, the crotch goblins are coming out, so I counter with music. Fair enough. So, I hurt, but I can still walk. Well, still walking is a good thing, right? I understand hurt knees as well. I've been there, done that last year as well. So it actually still kind of sore, but not as bad as it was before. And again, I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. So again, thank you all so much for joining this episode of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left Side. Remember, every little thing I do, and I don't know all the lyrics, but tonight it's gonna be May, as Justin Timberlake said a long, long time ago. Anyway, so thank you again very much. Appreciate you. Remember, if you have not liked the stream as of right now, remember to smash that like button on your way out. Make sure to go look at other videos, like, share, subscribe, help the algorithm, because Algor needs more rhythm. You all have a great night. All those who are not feeling great, feel better. And again, we will see you Tuesday unless there's big news that happens before. Have a good one. Peace.
He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of trying to get prior authorization. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the doctors, the lawyers, the CBO crew. Oh, 30,000 pages already reviewed. It wasn't a big secret, we knew. Obama deported, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons, drug nabbed the dishwashers and people picking melons. But Obama's argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, 2 wrongs don't make a right. We knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologists blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed. No wonder when the virus spread, either one who missed it spread a map, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew. Oh, the whole world knew. Oh, the lab coats, the leaders, and we were with the flu. Oh, the nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. You unveiled oxygen like contraband air. Right 6 there. You sat down, claiming to discover chairs. War called money was his big surprise. Iraq has oil, can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided, a surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised a Republican was Lincoln. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. The Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no door can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Downtown tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't need. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. Of chaotic secret and NDA sign. An illegal bribe, Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag cause he was much shorter. If you can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights rolled back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still. Just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Trump pile debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praise dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden
done it. Bag on flip, had Biden done it. Full numbers that slip, had Biden done it. They shout no way, but Trump did it, so it must be okay.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next Tuesday.